Picture this. Right in the middle of a high-stakes superpower academy, 18-year-old Ning Feng is absolutely sweating over a mobile game. Smack! A vicious slap drags him back to the real world, delivered by none other than Wang Yu. She is the academy's undisputed IT girl, drop-dead gorgeous, filthy rich, incredibly gifted, and right now, absolutely raging. And honestly, you cannot even blame her. The life or death awakening exam is kicking off any second, yet our guy is mashing buttons like hitting top rank is his actual destiny. Zero panic in his eyes though. He has already accepted his fate as total trash, fully expecting to unlock some garbage tier class. Meanwhile, Yue is built different, having unlocked a legendary 5-star adventurer class at just 16. His master plan? Ride her coattails forever. He envisions a flawless, zero-effort lifestyle. But Yue reads him like an open book, grabbing him by the collar and casually strangling the absolute life out of him. The entire courtyard starts whispering. It is a wild sight, a once-in-a-century prodigy choking out the Academy's certified walking massive L. But this chaotic energy tracks, considering they have been attached at the hip since childhood. Now, let us break down this crazy universe called Blue Star. Imagine reality colliding head-on with an RPG. The exact second you hit 16, you roll the cosmic dice to unlock sick abilities and become a full-fledged adventurer. Miss the mark? Well, enjoy serving fries for the rest of your miserable life. Our main character understands this brutal truth way too well, considering this is literally his third attempt at passing the exam. While the crowd is buzzing with hype over god-tier professions, he is just zoning out, praying for the clock to run out on this colossal waste of time. The second his name echoes over the speakers, the entire student body erupts into toxic gossip. Instructor Chi Wei tosses him a pitying smile of encouragement before Ning slaps his palm onto the massive awakening crystal. The air goes completely dead for a few agonizing heartbeats. Suddenly, a pathetic blue hue pulses out, locking him into a basic magic class. The verdict? A pathetic 1-star ranking bundled with a laughably useless skill. Teacher Chi visibly winces in sympathy. The peanut gallery immediately starts roasting him alive. Yet, instead of spiraling into depression, our boy is frozen in pure, utter bewilderment. Why? Because a glitchy system interface just blasted into his retinas, secretly handing him 2 mind-bending perks. Perk number 1, 0 penalty dark magic manipulation. Perk number 2, the authority to drop a world-ending forbidden spell exactly once a week. Even his trash-tier starter skill mutates into something straight out of a nightmare. He is practically sweating, wondering why this rogue system is suddenly buffing him like a secret raid boss. For now, he is just praying this shady power-up does not accidentally get him slaughtered during the combat trials. The rules are incredibly simple. Drop into the combat zone, farm some low-level monsters, and figure out how not to accidentally blow yourself up. Player versus player combat is strictly outlawed, with high-tech drones recording every single millimeter of the battlefield. While the tryhards sprint forward to flex their new powers, our guy is literally camping in a bush. Honestly, throwing hands is out of the question when your only weapon is a cataclysmic curse. His gut screams that flashing illegal dark arts on national television would probably end with him locked in a supermax prison. Up in the surveillance hub, Captain Joe glares at the screen, watching Ning camp like a coward, and demands to know why this absolute deadweight is even participating. Chi Wei desperately runs interference, blaming the kid's delayed powers, trash genetics, and garbage luck. But Joe, he is not buying a single word. In his military mindset, a 1-star adventurer is a walking liability, and he demands the kid be expelled immediately. Before Joe can slam the banhammer, the control room descends into chaos. Ning's personal camera feed suddenly snaps to black. Simultaneously, the radar screams bloody murder, detecting an apocalyptic energy spike, nuking the combat zone. Commander Chu goes pale, assuming a god-tier boss just breached the walls, and scrambles a strike team. Down in the trenches, reality is snapping in half. A random student gets pinned by a massive goblin raid, as the brutal war chief signals a total slaughter, smashing the surveillance bots into scrap metal just to flex. Lurking in the shadows, our stealthy protagonist clocks the shattered cameras and realizes this is his perfect window to unleash his illegal nuke. And honestly, the payoff is absolute cinema. The microsecond he triggers the incantation, the entire security grid flatlines. Sirens screech through the facility, sending the elite staff into a full-blown meltdown. Chu is utterly convinced a supreme demonic entity just crashed the party. Panicked orders fly across the radios, calling for heavy backup and triggering a mandatory, screaming evacuation. Meanwhile, Ning is just chilling, watching his masterpiece detonate. Waves of pitch-black energy detonate outward, mutating into a catastrophic shockwave that vaporizes every single atom in its radius. The goblin horde gets deleted from existence instantly. Their monstrous warlord stares at our guy with absolute terror, like he just locked eyes with the Grim Reaper himself, before being utterly atomized. When the dust settles, a tidal wave of experience points floods his system. Ning gapes at his glowing holographic screen in pure shock. His level just rocketed straight to 10 in a single heartbeat. A 0 to hero level jump like that is literally unheard of in Academy history. He connects the dots, realizing that beefed-up Goblin Chief dumped an insane amount of experience. But wait, why was a lethal elite boss roaming a beginner-friendly tutorial zone anyway? Before he can spiral into conspiracy theories, his gaze locks onto the dropped loot. And holy smokes, it is an absolute goldmine. He scoops up a Pioneer emblem that permanently buffs his movement speed, alongside a wicked-looking hook claw. Both artifacts are pulsing with that godly orange rarity glow, meaning they are worth an absolute fortune on the black market. Our guy is practically swimming in cash in his head, but right before he can taste that rich life, a blaring announcement snaps all the candidates back to reality. Out of nowhere, suffocating black energy swallows the area, and deadly traps spring up in every direction. Zero hesitation, he rips open a warp scroll and dips out before a single soul can even process the chaos. Once the squad rallies, Captain Joe barks a mandatory retreat back to base. And honestly, no cap, it is the only smart move. Even if they jumped the threat as a full unit, they would just be cannon fodder against whatever nightmare is crawling around that zone. While they are chilling for backup, things get freaky. The suffocating aura literally evaporates into thin air. The biggest red flag? Those beasts are hard-locked inside the hidden dungeon and cannot even step foot outside. Chiwei instantly clocks that this disaster is way out of their league and scrambles to bounce the intel up the chain of command. Some kid tries to interrogate her, but she aggressively shoos him away. During the escape, our main boy finally squeezes the actual tea out of Wang Yue. Get this, the whole reason the academy shut its doors was because of that creepy shadow energy spreading around. Our protagonist starts doing the mental math, wondering if that insane aura leaked from the boss-tier beast or if some hidden mastermind is pulling the strings. Yue completely misreads his brooding face as genuine PTSD. She pats his back, promising that since his shield magic sucks for solo grinding, he is rolling with her squad starting tomorrow. He feels the love, but politely hits her with a hard pass. It is not that he hates the idea of a free carry. The real deal breaker is that he cannot casually flex his highly illegal shadow arts, which happens to be his entire kit. But classic Yue completely ignores his rejection. She drops the meetup coordinates and struts away like the debate never happened. He yells out, but she has already ghosted him. Now our dude is sweating, desperately cooking up an alibi to dodge boot camp. Only issue? Ghosting Yue is straight up deadlier than throwing hands with a boss monster. He hatches a wild scheme, though whether it saves him or ruins his life is totally up in the air. He hits the local marketplace with one goal: cop some gear with built-in abilities, flash it in front of his overbearing friend, and pray his glitchy system does not mutate it into an apocalyptic nuke. While he is scanning the stalls, a sales rep slides up, hyping up some premium armor crafted specifically for power leveling. But our guy is not looking to build a god-tier loadout right now, he just needs a cheap bandage for his current mess. The literal second she sniffs out that he is not a trust fund baby tossing crystal coins around, her whole vibe flips. She brutally curbs him to the rookie clerk, Yang Xin. This nervous newbie escorts our protagonist over to the weapon racks, where he inspects a bunch of cursed-looking artifacts that practically scream soul-stealing. After digging through the pile, he locks onto a basic ring. Purchase secured, Xin guides him over to Master Wang, the ultimate plug for liquidating loot. Our guy slides the monster claw across the counter, and the veteran appraiser heavily scrutinizes it before dialing up a VIP client. Minutes later, the master drops the golden words, "The trade is greenlit." Even after the shady tax cuts, our hero is bagging a cool 50,000 crystal coins. They blaze through the contracts, and with his pockets feeling heavy, he figures he should probably go on a mini shopping spree while he has the chance. Cut to the snobby clerk from earlier, who is literally slacking off to gossip with her work besties. She is out here loudly listing her ideal match. Loaded, carrying max influence, and obviously, sporting a model-tier face. But mid-sentence, she locks eyes on the dude she just rejected, shaking hands with the boss. Reality violently hits her. This supposed street rat just secured a bag bigger than half a year of her measly commissions. The soul-crushing regret melting her face is pure cinema. And honestly, massive karma. Flash forward to dawn. Our guy is already grinding his new abilities. He ran some beta tests the night before, and luckily, the cursed system did not morph them into a cataclysmic disaster. Bottom line, he can casually spam them, without accidentally wiping the city off the map. Riding that high, he links up with Yue, who points out her raid party, a spellcaster, a sonic brawler, an unhinged berserker, and a healer. You do not need maxed out perception stats to catch the immediate bad vibes, radiating off the mage, Zhao Cheng, and the sonic guy. They despise him on sight. Cheng, meanwhile, is hopelessly simping over Yue, who is literally inches away from hitting her second awakening. The dude shoves a premium elixir in her face, practically screaming about its ridiculous market value. Our protagonist raises an eyebrow, considering you have to grind 30 brutal levels just to trigger a job upgrade. It just proves Yue is built entirely different, but the queen coldly rejects the bribe, shattering Cheng's fragile ego into a million pieces. He aggressively tries to force the bottle into her hands, but she completely ignores him. Desperate for a target, the mage glares at our boy. Boiling with rage that a total scrub is stealing his dream girl's attention, he spits out pure venom, prompting Yue to instantly snap and tell him to shut his mouth. But the clown keeps yapping. Standing there, our hero seriously debates if society would forgive him for vaporizing this idiot with a forbidden curse right on the spot. Cheng's god complex is skyrocketing by the millisecond, and the healer chick, clearly sensing an absolute bloodbath brewing, tries to de-escalate, but the arrogant mage viciously screams at her to back off, and drops yet another insult right in our hero's face. But this time, our boy is absolutely not having it. He totally roasts Chung for flexing a completely mid-potion like it is some god-tier artifact. Naturally, the Sound Warrior jumps in to back Chung up, and flat out dares the MC to put his money where his mouth is. Instead of wasting breath arguing, our hero casually pulls out the Pioneer emblem. He just tosses it over to Yue like it is absolute pocket change. The entire squad instantly drops their jaws in pure shock, but our boy insists she keeps it. He casually lies, claiming he just stumbled across it at home and meant to gift it to her anyway. The second Yue equips it, her stats absolutely skyrocket. Right now, Chung's remaining brain cells are literally fighting for survival. He is in complete and utter denial, or honestly, he is just insanely salty. So, he pulls a classic loser move and straight up accuses our hero of stealing the item. Too bad reality does not give a single damn about his feelings. Backed into a corner, Chung is forced to swallow his massive ego. He physically drops to his knees and begs for forgiveness. Fully satisfied, the MC walks off with Yue, completely brushing off her apologies along the way. Instead, he tells her to lock in on her second awakening and get accepted into a top-tier university, rather than wasting time hanging around him. Obviously, he cannot admit the harsh truth. Having her tag along is totally nerfing his leveling speed. Out of nowhere, she hands him a rare skill book, which he happily snatches up. Cut to later in the deadly graveyard of the Hidden Realm, where Yue is busy shredding through waves of rotting zombie mobs. She is sniping them down with her arrows while our hero stands nearby, playing the role of the ultimate hype man, at least on the outside. Internally, though, he is heavily questioning every single life choice. The experience points here are absolute trash, but he cannot exactly break Yue's heart by saying that, considering he is already sitting at level 10. Suddenly, Yue's phone buzzes with an urgent call from her guildmates. A massive boss monster is about to spawn. The healer girl frantically updates Yue over the phone, while Chung yaps loudly in the background. Yue shoots our hero a look, silently asking for permission, and he gives her the green light to go. She firmly tells him to stay put in the safe zone, right before she dashes off. Now completely solo, our boy finally gets to do what he does best, dive headfirst into absolute chaos. He recently unlocked 2 brand new abilities, but thanks to his painfully restricted skill slots, he is capped at equipping just 3 at once. To make things worse, that shiny skill book Yue gifted him is totally locked until he hits level 15. Meanwhile, on the far side of the graveyard, a scout reports that the final boss has finally spawned inside the towering spire, buried deep inside the dungeon. Pushing through is going to be a nightmare, with all the high-level mobs swarming the path. So, he commands the entire raid party to stay on extremely high alert. The second the words leave his mouth, a massive explosion shakes the ground. Peering through the smoke, they spot a rival squad aggressively pushing forward, and surprise, surprise, it is Yue's guild. But while they are fighting for their lives, our MC is already chilling at the tower's entrance, all thanks to spamming his overpowered forbidden magic. Looming right in front of him is the dungeon boss, looking absolutely terrifying. The beast hurls a devastating magical blast straight at our boy, triggering a massive cratering explosion, but our hero sidesteps it like it is nothing. In retaliation, he literally calls down a meteor shower, dragging a blazing storm of hellfire right out of the sky. An earth-shattering blast violently shakes the screen. As the thick smoke clears, our boy just smirks. The system interface absolutely floods his vision with notifications, flashing an unbelievably insane kill streak. We are talking a literal mountain of experience points and the ultimate drop. The boss is wiped from existence, instantly rocketing him to level 30, which means it is officially time for his first-class awakening. He vacuums up the insane loot, grabbing glowing pendants, rare gems, and the grand prize, the emblem. The exact second he consumes the item, the system hits him with a massive prompt. It states that during this critical evolution phase, he can instantly unlock the Shadow Tier Necromancer class, or grind out a crazy prerequisite quest to become a secret archmage. Now, our guy is smart. He knows perfectly well that hidden classes are 1 in a million, and you definitely do not just stumble into them like common trash drops. This makes his gears start turning. He quickly pieces together that these specific emblems are the ultimate cheat code. After literally 2 seconds of deep thinking, he locks in his choice, Archmage. Cut back to Yua's squad desperately fighting for their lives, when a terrifying spike in magical energy puts the whole raid on extreme lockdown. Sensing the danger, Yua instantly screams for a tactical retreat. Chung, however, freezes up like a deer in headlights. Yui snaps him back to reality, harshly reminding him that their guildmates are actually going to die. Chung finally falls back, crying about his absolutely terrible luck. Yui tries to ping our hero's phone, only to see a totally dry text from him, claiming he had to dip out early for an emergency. With his dungeon sweep fully complete, the MC swaggers into the central awakening hall. He glances around the massive room, searching for an NPC or guide. A staff member approaches, logs his player data, and escorts him straight to the exclusive mage trial chamber. As she steps out, she bumps into Captain Joe, who drops some heavy lore about the graveyard disaster. Word on the street is that an absolute unit of a player just completely nuked the entire zone, and the guild radars are currently scaling this mystery player at a catastrophic Demon King threat level, or even higher. That is the exact reason he pulled up. He is desperately trying to commission Lone Shadow to investigate. Meanwhile, our boy's very first mission on the Archmage path is to secure the legendary Divine Emblem, hidden deep within the heavily guarded Radiant Temple. If you compare it to the Necromancer route, which literally requires infiltrating the Sun Tomb for a stolen crown, this quest feels like an absolute tutorial stage. He has exactly 3 days on the clock to pull off the heist, and since it is just the warm-up phase, he instantly agrees, zero hesitation, and heads straight for the exit of the class advancement hub. Right as he steps out, some random receptionist hits him with a polite goodbye. Weirdly, it totally isn't the same girl who checked him in. Not that our guy actually cares enough to overthink it. Meanwhile, the graveyard is practically a crime scene. That first receptionist, Su Lan, rolls up alongside Captain Joe, and spoiler alert, she is definitely not your average detective. This girl actually leads Lone Shadow, a crazy underground syndicate packed with shadow-slinging assassins running ultra-classified black ops. She scans the fresh crater, immediately clocking this heavy, sinister aura bleeding into the air. But hard evidence? Absolutely zero. Whoever casually dropped a nuke on this place literally ghosted, leaving absolutely nothing behind. Joe instantly tries linking this mess to those bizarre anomalies popping off worldwide. Lan? Yeah, she is not buying that theory at all. Instead, she demands they call in absolute heavyweights and ping command for backup. Right on cue, some random squadmate chimes in, guessing a feral beast caused this carnage. That innocent comment actually packs a massive insult. He is basically calling the dark magic users of Lone Shadow total freaks. The dude backpedals hard, stuttering out an apology. But Lan shuts him down, making it crystal clear that whatever they are hunting makes normal beasts look like house cats. We are talking about a cosmic nightmare that flexes on literal demon kings. Normal humans stepping up to this thing would just be free XP. Right now, this titan is chilling in the abyss, and they have to hunt it down before it drops the craziest boss battle reality has ever seen. Cut back to our overpowered main character. He is lounging in his apartment, swiping through his totally busted new skill tree. Hitting level 30 just unlocked a massive power spike, blessing him with 4 completely empty skill slots. Translation? It is finally time to crack open those premium tomes you handed over, instead of treating them like expensive paperweights. The first manual instantly triggers a crazy reaction, fusing directly with his taboo magic to forge an impenetrable barrier art. This overpowered passive automatically violently flares to life the second he takes a hit, tanking a massive amount of damage without him even lifting a finger. On to round 2. The second tome also cannibalizes his forbidden energy, permanently multiplying the raw destructive output of his geomagic. Decent buffs, sure, but our guy is eternally greedy for power. To satisfy that grind, he immediately heads straight for the local auction hub to score more manuals. Fast forward to the next morning. Our boy steps foot in the market, only to get instantly swarmed by the exact same receptionist who treated him like absolute garbage last time. Suddenly, she is acting completely obsessed with catering to him, but he casually brushes past her fake hype and demands to see Yang Xin. The desperate girl literally makes up an excuse on the spot, swearing Xin is tied up with VIPs, and practically begs to be his personal shopper instead. Our main character drops a hard no and just walks off to window shop solo. Her fake smile shatters, and her aura turns absolutely toxic in a millisecond. She desperately lunges for a second attempt, but thankfully, Xin drops into the scene. Shockingly, the whole busy with a client thing was a massive lie. The poor girl was literally just trying to eat lunch before sprinting over the second she heard our hero clocked in. Feeling kinda bad for ruining her break, he promises to buy her dinner later. Watching this absolute flex, the toxic receptionist looks like she is about to pop a blood vessel. Meanwhile, our guy completely ignores her and flips 2 premium manuals over to Wang. He places a massive bounty for sorcerer tomes. But sitting across from him, Wang is starting to sweat, his paranoid radar blaring at max volume. The loot this kid drops is way too god tier for a supposed nobody. The merchant's curiosity completely redlines. Instead of just happily taking the profit, he quietly orders a full background sweep on our mysterious protagonist. Later that night, the promised dinner date actually happens. But when our boy reaches to swipe his card, he realizes Shin stealthily covered the entire tab. He questions the move, but she hits him with a cryptic little smile and refuses to spill. Being a gentleman, he volunteers to escort her back, but she gently shuts the idea down, claiming she has urgent business elsewhere. The heartbreaking truth? She is actually rushing straight to the intensive care unit to see her sick dad. That fat commission she bagged from helping our overpowered friend? It is exactly the cash injection needed to keep her father alive for another month. But reality hits like a truck. Halfway through her commute, the universe decides to flip the script in the worst way possible, glitching right into the absolute heart of the safe zone. A horde of nightmarish freaks materialize out of thin air. She stumbles out of her cab, completely paralyzed by the horrific sight. Shin might be a registered 1-star caster, and she definitely throws down everything she has. But honestly, her magic barely even tickles these titans. Her mana pool drains instantly, and right as her knees buckle, a massive beast lunges forward to snap her up for a midnight snack. Mere inches from a brutal game over, a blinding sword flash rips through the atmosphere, completely vaporizing the creature on impact. Enter Captain Joe. One quick sweep of the flaming streets is all he needs to realize the situation just went from bad to apocalyptic. A forbidden dungeon is literally colliding with the real world, spawning elites that would instantly delete any low-tier sorcerer. Alarm bells ring in his head as he remembers the warning from earlier, the one about a cosmic-level boss, casually roaming the streets. Before the panic can even set in, a lethal strike zeroes in on his blind spot. Joe violently sidesteps the blast, locking eyes with some random dude blocking his path. This guy is dripping with so much edgelord energy he feels like a main antagonist. Joe immediately tags him as a rogue mutant, but the edgelord gets super triggered by that label, screaming that he is the prophesied vessel of the abyss. Joe literally stares at him, wondering which cringe anime this loser escaped from. Still, with civilians dying, talking is not an option. Joe dashes in for the kill, only for the fake Dark Lord to counter so violently that our veteran captain gets blasted straight through a brick wall. Declaring the entire city his personal playground, the villain launches a savage assault. Poor Chu does not even have time to blink before he is sent flying through the air like a rag doll. As Chu scrambles in the dirt, our antagonist starts flexing his supposed god-tier status. But right before his ego reaches critical mass, a sinister whisper echoes directly from the glowing amulet chained to his chest. The ominous entity instantly shuts down his bragging, ruthlessly reminding him that he is nothing but a puppet operating on borrowed strength. To actually earn his keep, the voice demands a total wipeout of the city's population. Without a second thought, the villain blindly accepts the dark bargain. Cut to a completely different vibe, where our main character casually steps out of a public washroom, right into a literal doomsday scenario. The streets are completely trashed, covered in debris, and pure absolute carnage. It is an absolute horror show. A mutated beast immediately locks onto him, thinking it just scored an easy meal. The creature launches itself at his throat, but gets instantly impaled mid-flight by a brutal spike of earth magic. Strolling forward, our overpowered boy spots Captain Joe, practically bruised beyond recognition, and dangling from the grip of the dark magic villain. Sensing fresh meat, the corrupted dude drops Joe and charges, swinging a massive, demonic claw straight for our hero's face. Without even breaking a sweat, our main guy deflects the devastating blow. That effortless flex immediately grabs the attention of the shadowy voice in the amulet. The entity instantly senses a terrifying aura radiating from our boy, completely eclipsing the pathetic strength of its own pawn. Meanwhile, our protagonist does some quick mental math on dropping a highly restricted technique. Shrugging off the risks, he fully commits, absolutely obliterating the monstrous claw into dust and breaking the deadlock like it is nothing. Suddenly, drenched in a cold sweat, the villain screams out for his dark overlord to save him, but the entity treats him like expired goods, deciding this trash is absolutely not worth the headache. It yanks its monster army back into the shadows, leaving its former puppet completely stranded. Suddenly, the vibe shifts, leaving just the terrified antagonist staring down our main character, stripped naked of the dark energy he was just relying on. You see, these corrupted mutants hit the jackpot during their initial awakening, scoring a super rare class directly tied to the abyss. Basically, it is just a cheat code that makes them hit way harder than your average fighter, in the exact same tier. However, ripping away that shadowy armor basically signs their death warrant. Our overpowered hero, permanently logging this pathetic guy out of the server, sheds exactly 0 tears, snatches all the high tier drops, and dips out to his apartment. Fast forward to headquarters. A junior scout rushes up to Sulan, dropping the intel that the beast horde vanished and the dimensional rift literally deleted itself. Lan stares blankly into space, trying to process the madness. The entire week has been pure chaos, with apocalyptic threats spawning randomly and ghosting them seconds later. She is entirely clueless about the enemy's endgame. The scout keeps rattling off updates, confirming the safe zones are secure, but the southern district got absolutely steamrolled. The body count is spiking, and the station's squad has gone completely radio silent. Trusting no one else with this, Lan gears up to inspect the fallout in person, marching straight into Captain Joe's defensive sector. Arriving at the ruins, she finds the former dark puppet frozen solid, sporting a massive, gaping hole right through his torso, like an exploded watermelon. A mysterious dude named Duan steps out of the rubble, instantly clocking that the corpse's inventory has been wiped clean. Right as Lan steps onto the scene, Duan casually drops his credentials, claiming membership to an underground syndicate packed with lethal combatants, who strictly handle off-the-books business. Lan already knows their dark, heavy-hitting reputation. Getting straight to the point, Duan reveals the mangled body was actually a rogue agent from their own guild, who stabbed them in the back. This dead guy literally tore a hole in reality to let the dimensional rift bleed through, triggering a monstrous raid that completely flattened their base. Okay, barely flattened. A handful of survivors dragged themselves out of the slaughter, but whoever just handed this traitor the ultimate beatdown remains a total ghost. Lan gets this creeping chill down her spine. Captain Joe is a hardcore third-stage evolution powerhouse, yet his entire unit got folded like cheap lawn chairs. The math only points to one insane reality. An unimaginably busted entity is lurking around, packing enough firepower to solo the boss and slam the dimensional gate shut. Before she can spiral into theories, Duan dips out of the conversation, claiming he has a critical side quest to handle. Meanwhile, chilling safely in his room, our main character is absolutely vibing while sorting through his shiny new drops, pulling out a top-tier combat jacket, some extremely rare orange rarity gear, and an insanely cryptic necklace radiating weird energy. He casually mutters a prayer that this thing is not tied to some primordial god, or honestly, anything that requires annoying fetch quests. Spoiler alert, trapped inside that exact amulet, a demonic stalker is observing his every move. The exact same shadowy overlord from the battlefield is locked onto a scrying orb, hacking the necklace's camera feed to secretly stream our hero's apartment. But the literal second our protagonist drops the words ancient deity, the demonic voyeur completely short-circuits into full-blown terror. The villain violently smashes the kill switch on the broadcast, screaming at his minions to scrub their digital footprints and go totally dark, because messing with cosmic gods is a guaranteed game over. Flipping over to the medical ward, Captain Joe is currently rocking the full mummy aesthetic, cast up and completely immobilized. Fighting through the pain, he drops the lore on the attack, explaining how their guaranteed squad wipe got completely cancelled by a random teenager who just spawned into the fight, sending the terrifying beasts scurrying back into the void like absolute cowards. As for tracking down this masked carry, investigators swept the grid and came up completely empty, just faint traces of low-level magic. Joe is practically praying this mystery powerhouse joins their squad. Some other dude chimes in, guessing the guy is straight up mutated, but Joe instantly shoots the theory down. Total overthinking. Our boy rolls up to the Radiant Temple, completely clueless that Duan is creeping in the shadows, tracking his every single move like a certified stalker. Rewind to a few days ago, Duan drops by Wang's trading hub, hunting for a Stage 4 transformation combat set. Mid-conversation, that same girl who previously got curved by our MC starts eyeing Duan like he is her ultimate backup sugar daddy. Wang casually name-drops that a regular just scooped up that exact same gear, and obviously, it was none other than our MC. Peaked, Duan demands an introduction, but tough luck, our boy isn't showing up today. As Wang breaks down the fit, a basic two-piece shirt and pants combo, Duan gets massive legacy item vibes. His gut screams this outfit connects directly to his fallen master, so he drops cash, trying to bribe Wang for the coordinates of our hero. But Wang wasn't born yesterday. It is insanely sketchy that Duan magically spawned right after the MC floated the idea of selling the suit. A setup? A wild coincidence? Either way, Wang refuses to snitch immediately. Instead, he buys some time, faking an excuse to hit up our boy first. Once Duan dips, Wang is left totally paranoid. When the nosy girl asks for the tea, he spills everything he dug up on our guy. Plot twist: the parents of the MC were literally just average 2-star professionals who vanished in a tragic accident, leaving him orphaned. Then, our guy went through the academy, only awakening a trash 1-star class at 18. The massive red flag here? A dude with that bottom-tier background has absolutely zero business hauling in the god-tier loot. He has been flipping. Yui's guild isn't exactly carrying him either, so, unless he has a literal fairy godmother spawning treasures, it boils down to two options. Either he swiped the gear, or he somehow crossed paths with a heavyweight way out of his tax bracket. Snapping back to the present at the temple, Duan keeps up his sneaky surveillance mission. His brain is literally short-circuiting, trying to compute how our hero, a kid who looks fresh out of high school, somehow single-handedly repelled a secret realm invasion. Especially considering his own master, an absolute unit, actually got wiped out by the realm boss, according to the intel. If the MC isn't hiding some broken, glitch-level strength, then whoever is backing him definitely is. Regardless, Duan refuses to gamble on this. Meanwhile, our boy watches random fighters getting folded by monsters and decides it is time to swap his gear. Duan braces himself for a cinematic transformation sequence, expecting blinding neon armor or a terrifying aura of doom. Instead, our hero equips his fit and just looks like, well, a basic college kid. Now, Duan gets paranoid that the MC might try to ditch him, so he decides to play chess instead of checkers. Tailing him up close is suicide, so he pops a tracking skill to tag our boy, just to be safe. The second our hero breaches the temple doors, an ambush flies straight at his face, but a magical barrier instantly ignites, tanking the hit effortlessly. Duan is left jaw-dropped, and if that wasn't insane enough, every single monster in the vicinity takes one look at the MC and literally sprints for their lives. Next, our boy bumps into a gigantic dude who is glued to the floor, sweating absolute buckets. A quick glance at the quest log confirms this giant NPC is totally irrelevant, so he casually strolls right past him. Pushing deeper into the shadows, he discovers a hidden chamber, locking eyes with a massive 6-winged angel. But the second the angel spots him, it pulls the ultimate plot twist: it bolts. Our hero is entirely baffled. He geared up for an epic boss fight, but the so-called terrifying temple boss is literally running away. Sadly for the angel, it is boxed into a dead end. The MC sighs, deciding to speedrun this encounter. He casually summons a raging thunderstorm directly above the tower. Seconds later, brutal lightning strikes, completely vaporizing the angel. The entire temple crumbles to dust, leaving Duan frozen in pure shock. But our hero isn't throwing a victory party. Despite nuking the boss, his rank utterly refuses to level up, all because he hasn't cleared his first stage transformation yet. All that juicy experience? Totally down the drain. The only massive win here is the divine emblem he looted off the corpse, officially stamping the quest as cleared. With zero reasons left to stick around, he turns to bounce. At least, that was the game plan, until Duan comes sprinting at him like an absolute lunatic. Our hero instantly tenses up, since getting exposed for using forbidden dark magic is literally his worst-case scenario. But before the panic can set in, Duan stares him down, with a super weird blend of hardcore fanboying and pure panic. Convinced the MC is some legendary grandmaster, Duan scrambles to explain himself, but before a single word drops, deafening sirens echo through the ruins. Our boy whips out a teleportation scroll, fleeing first, talking later. Once they touch down in a secure, chill spot, Duan completely trauma dumps everything. Turns out, his master threw away his own life to seal off an invading realm, but a filthy traitor managed to slip through the cracks. And that exact traitor has been using human sacrifices for years to shatter the barrier. Duan has been tracking him relentlessly, but keeps hitting dead ends. Duan is running his mouth in the background, but our guy? He is completely zoned out. And surprisingly, it is not the massive betrayal weighing on his mind. Nope, his brain is stuck on his pathetic stats. If he does not grind out some levels fast, his hidden dark energy is going to leak out, and that would be an absolute nightmare. Catching that intense, brooding stare, Duan immediately starts sweating bullets, fully convinced he is about to get wiped off the map. Scrambling to save his own skin, the dude frantically bows, thanking our protagonist and pledging his eternal loyalty. Surprisingly, our guy actually sees a spark of use in him, but before anything else, he lays down one unbreakable rule: Duan must take everything he saw today straight to the grave. Shockingly, Duan is totally chill with the terms. To him, the MC's shadowy powers are not some evil curse, especially since those same powers literally just rescued the entire city. Besides, he is practically homeless now, making tagging along his only option. Right as they hit the road, our protagonist's phone violently vibrates. It is Shiwei dropping a quick demand to talk before abruptly cutting the line. She is chilling with Su Lan, feeding her the latest intel on our hero's comeback. Lan has been doing some serious snooping, and uncovered a wild detail our boy has already smashed through his first awakening phase. Shiwei desperately tries to swear by his innocence, but Lan is practically a brick wall. She is hunting for hard facts, not blind faith. Flashback to a tense boardroom, Lan throws the total annihilation of Qinyu City onto the table, openly suspecting mutants pulled the trigger. Some boomer across the table instantly calls out her hypocrisy, sarcastically wondering why she cares so much when she has mutant blood flowing through her own veins. Everyone in that room knows shadow abilities carry a lethal price tag, draining your life force, shattering your mind, or hitting the absolute worst-case scenario, morphing into a twisted, flesh-hungry abomination. The old guy scoffs, insisting a mutant casually walking around with Demon King tier strength is pure fantasy. Another suit joins in, roasting her theories as cheap sci-fi garbage. But Lan did not step into this room to play games. She is purely there to drop the warning signs. If they choose to stay blind, that is on them. The executive doubles down on his trash talk, arrogantly betting his actual head if she is proven right. The boomer rudely shifts the focus back to the ongoing city probe, mentioning operations are already rolling, though the brass completely slammed the door on Lone Shadow's plea for backup. Lan reads this as a massive slap of disrespect, while the geezer barks at her to sit down and wait. Suddenly, the boardroom doors fly open, and a panicked girl crashes the meeting. She drops a bombshell. The Radiant Temple just got blitzed. Miraculously, the body count remains at 0. Snapping back to the girl's chat, Shiwei connects the invisible dots, realizing the MC's official grinding zone was none other than that exact temple. Cut to Longbow City, currently suffocating under a massive, supposedly god-tier lockdown force field. The trapped citizens are practically going feral, desperately guessing what triggered the quarantine. Smacked right in the middle of this panic, Duan and our protagonist are just as clueless. The local knights are out here running pure damage control, barking massive promises about how perfectly secure the walls are. But the fear in their voices absolutely ruins the illusion. Then, it finally clicks for our boy. That minor flex he pulled earlier? Yeah, it made way too much noise, violently tripping the entire city's maximum threat alarms. His grandmaster plan now is literally just standing perfectly still until the heat dies down, then casually walking home. Too bad the universe loves ruining his day. Right outside the dome, an army of beasts is drooling over the helpless crowds. And that hyped up, unbreakable shield? It shatters like cheap glass. The monsters flood the streets, instantly dragging the sanctuary into a blood-soaked apocalypse. Civilians are shrieking, trampling each other, and sprinting for survival. Duan quickly mentions another town got wiped exactly like this yesterday, nervously glancing at the MC for a game plan. Meanwhile, our clueless protagonist completely assumes Duan is a pro who is just asking out of sheer respect. The legendary misunderstanding begins. Without missing a beat, Duan's overactive imagination convinces him this is a secret pop quiz to prove his worth to his new boss. Skipping any actual logic, the dude confidently steps onto the front line. Our guy is barely breaking a sweat anyway, way too many cameras and witnesses here to risk exposing himself. Letting his new minion take the wheel is honestly the smartest play. The armored guards try putting up a pathetic defense, but they get absolutely shredded before even swinging their swords. Watching from the back, the monster alpha is visibly yawning at this trash-tier resistance. If these weaklings are the server's top players, he is ready to just massacre the whole map for fun. But right as his lethal strike drops, Duan flawlessly tanks the hit. And nope, he does not give a single care about saving civilians. He is just violently desperate to look cool in front of the MC. Standing safely in the back, our boy is fighting for his life, trying not to visibly cringe every time Duan dramatically screams out his master title. The beast boss smirks, finally finding a target worth hunting, but that hype gets instantly vaporized. Duan becomes a blur, and the alpha is brutally cleaved in two. The entire plaza goes dead silent, jaws hitting the pavement at this insane display of dominance. And realistically, Duan is completely cracked. Sitting way past level 130, the dude is a specialized warrior, rocking a legendary hidden class. Even our stoic hero has to nod at that kind of damage output. Though honestly, he is mostly just baffled about how this overpowered psycho blindly joined his party. With the Monster Kingmaker turned to dust, the Dark Lord officially decides this is the perfect window to quietly bounce. Duan spins around like an obedient dog begging for his next order, but our guy mentally gives him the stamp of approval. Snatching up the mythic tier orange drop left by the boss, Duan faithfully hands it over. Our protagonist calmly pockets the rare skill book, saving it up for Yue. He ditches the shield for some quick cash. Right as they are packing up, a healer rolls up with a badly beaten knight. They are practically bowing in gratitude when a third guy steps into the frame, Kai Dongming, the mayor of Longbow City himself. One look at our guy and Duan, and Dongming instantly clocks it. These two are definitely out-of-towners. The MC spins a flawless lie about being on a business trip, and just getting caught in the crossfire. But Dongming totally misreads the vibe. He thinks our boy is holding a grudge over the city's lockdown barrier. The mayor literally bows in apology, which is hilarious, considering our hero knows damn well he caused this entire disaster. Playing the saint, he waves off the apology. Trying to smooth things over, Dongming hands over a flight scroll. It is an insanely rare drop, and the MC has to bite his tongue to keep from grinning. The mayor then begs them to crash in the city for a few days, blaming the ongoing chaos and a massive shortage of guards. Hard pass. Our boy has a ticking clock on his class advancement quest, and the window is closing fast. No way he is missing his first awakening. Seeing him leave, Dongming slides him an elite black card as a final thank you. The MC instantly spots the insignia of an overpowered syndicate. He pockets it respectfully, and they part ways with zero bad blood. Our duo bounces. Meanwhile, back in Xinyu City, Yue's squad is camping outside the awakening hall, waiting for her and Cheng to drop. Right as the doors swing open, our boy and Duan casually streak across the sky, right over their heads. Yue immediately feels his aura. Cheng? He just snorts. In his delusional mind, there is zero chance a broke guy like the MC could ever afford a flight scroll. Before he can spit any more trash, Yue shuts him down with a death stare. Cheng is absolutely clueless. What makes this guy so special? The aerial rides? The drip? A hidden stash of legendary gear? It eats him alive. Reading the room, the healer girl quickly pivots the conversation to their class upgrades. Cheng flexes his new A rank. He is secretly salty about it, but the bard and the berserker hype him up to protect his fragile ego. Then, the spotlight shifts to Yue. Unlike loudmouth Cheng, she is dead silent. The tension thickens, prompting the healer to softly ask how she did. Cheng, running on 2 brain cells, automatically assumes she bombed her test, and is too humiliated to speak. He puffs out his chest, telling her he will carry her through the game. Yue, absolutely done with his garbage, drops a nuke. She tells him to stop worrying about her stats and start praying for his own, because while he is stuck in A-tier purgatory, she just locked in an S-rank. Pin drop. The whole squad freezes. Cheng's imaginary crown shatters. He is left standing there, looking like a total clown with zero comeback. The craziest part? She was quiet because her quest triggered a hidden class. Something so ridiculously rare, it is not even in the meta guides. Cheng's brain is short-circuiting. Classes are supposed to be locked in at day 1. How the hell did she swap into a secret route mid-game? Let's rewind. Back in the trial chamber, Yue pulled out the Pioneer emblem. Our boy handed it to her like it was a cheap souvenir. But the second she equipped it, her class mutated from a basic swift archer into the shadow of the vanguard. Total system shock. She stared at her screen, baffled, until it finally clicked. The MC played her perfectly. He knew exactly what this item would do. Zero hesitation. Blind trust. She slammed the confirm button and embraced the upgrade. Now, she is laying out the facts for the squad. Cheng is in straight-up denial. Yue could not care less about his coping mechanism. The rest of the crew tunes him out while he seethes in the background, plotting his revenge. He swears to hunt down an emblem for himself. Cut back to our boy's awakening chamber, where things are going way smoother. He sacrifices his fresh divine emblem, and his stats absolutely explode off the charts. His skill tree shatters wide open. We are talking forbidden magic, cast with lethal sniper accuracy. Outside the doors, Duan stands guard like a final boss. Sulan happens to stroll by and catches him. She already knows this guy hits like a truck, but the backroom gossip has her hooked. The staff is whispering that this powerhouse acts like a pure bodyguard, trailing the MC like a shadow and bowing to his every command. Smelling a mystery, she taps her earpiece and feeds the intel straight to Chiwei. But Chiwei? Ice cold. She brushes it off, reminding Sulan that our guy is playing for their team. Not satisfied, Sulan decides to cut the middleman and interrogate the MC directly. Duan quietly parts like the Red Sea. She does not waste a second, calling him out on his fresh awakening. The MC blinks, caught off guard, but shrugs and owns up to it. She has had his back since day 1, so hiding it is pointless. With that out of the way, she flips the script. The vibe instantly gets heavy when they bring up the real nightmare, dark energy. This toxic aura is actively twisting regular folks into straight-up mutants, and she needs absolute proof our boy is not secretly turning into one. Naturally, the MC shoots that down fast, swearing he has absolutely zero desire to join that freak show. Becoming a mutant basically guarantees the government breathes down your neck 24/7, and he dodges the spotlight like the plague. But she is not buying his innocent act just yet. Whipping out a glowing crystal, she drops the bombshell. This little rock sniffs out dark energy. All he has got to do is channel a drop of his mana inside. He freezes. She catches that micro-expression but keeps her mouth shut, waiting. Finally, our guy bites the bullet and complies. Boom! The second his aura hits the gem, it violently detonates into dust. Both of them just stand there, dead silent, staring at the sparkling debris. Here is the kicker. Lon previously explained this lie detector crystal. A tiny vibration means you have a slight dark taint. A massive earthquake inside the stone? You are practically a monster. But blowing the thing to kingdom come? Yeah, Lon conveniently left that outcome out of the manual. Scrambling, the MC begs Chi to trust him, leaning hard on their years of history. That strikes a major nerve, and you can see her walls crumbling as his devastating backstory flashes through her mind. Still, duty always wins. She is forced to report this epic anomaly, even if it completely wrecks her conscience. Our boy totally gets it, no hard feelings. But honestly, he is sweating bullets. If the feds decide to hunt him down, his backup plan is already set. Pack his bags, ghost everyone, and bail on Jinyo City. Right before they split, Chi tosses him a rare skill manual to celebrate his awakening. Refusing to owe anyone, our hero slides her the legendary Sacred Wing, the ultimate flex, to say thanks for having his six. Then he just turns and vanishes, leaving her completely stunned with the priceless loot. Cut to the Adventurer Guild, where Chi barges in to give Lon the crazy rundown. She is borderline panicking, terrified the government will brand the MC as public enemy number one. But Lon just smirks. In her eyes, since this kid is already shattering the laws of reality, poking the bear is a guaranteed death wish. Smart players do not provoke gods, they negotiate with them. Instantly, she shreds the investigation order and completely blacklists his file. Chi breathes a massive sigh of relief, fully backing the cover-up. With the MC safe, Lan pivots her radar straight toward Duan. Meanwhile, our powerhouse duo crashes back at the apartment. The MC is giving off some serious dark clouds, and Duan instantly reads the room. Pulling up his phone, the MC drops the intel. Chi just texted that the authorities officially called off the hounds. Massive win, right? Wrong. The MC is stressing hard over his future grinding sessions. Every single time he obliterates a dungeon, shockwaves ripple through the entire region. Eventually, the big bosses are going to piece this puzzle together. Duan, who currently worships the MC like some untouchable anomaly of nature, pitches a genius workaround, hitting the ghost zones. These are wild, off-the-grid domains the government is way too broke to police, or totally overrun by pure nightmare fuel. Duan already has 2 of these death traps pinged on the map, ready to scout more. Our guy delegates the scouting to him. His itinerary for tomorrow? Raid the trade center, dump his overflowing inventory for fat stacks, chill out, and roleplay as an average Joe for 24 hours. Once the plan is locked, Duan dips to a local hotel, aiming to secure a permanent base at sunrise. But right as Duan is about to catch some sleep, guess who intercepts him? The freaking mayor of the city, Zhongji. This VIP immediately probes to see if Duan is setting down roots. Once Duan nods, Zhongji practically hands him a black-tier master key to the city, begging to sponsor his every need. While Duan flips the shiny plastic, Mayor Zhongji is internally screaming, terrified this legend might reject him just like he snubbed dozens of top-tier metropolises. But here is the ultimate punchline. Duan's residency has absolutely zero to do with the city perks. He is strictly here to tail the MC. Meanwhile, the clueless mayor has zero idea our god-tier hero even breathes, and he is just mentally throwing a parade, thinking he single-handedly secured the ultimate human weapon for his defense grid. Back home, our boy is locked in, grinding his video game so hard that hours basically vanish. It is only when he finally unglues his eyes from the screen that he sees his academy group chat absolutely exploding with notifications. Peeking in, he watches his classmates crying over their weak stats, sweating over skill evolutions, and having full-blown meltdowns about the brutal college entrance trials. Apparently, the baseline requirement is surviving at least one major class awakening by now. The absolute irony here? Just a minute ago, he was the dead last loser, who could not care less about academic rankings. Fast forward a couple of days, and he has completely blitzed past every single one of these tryhards, with zero sweat broken. Suddenly, some arrogant UA fanboy crashes the chat, deciding it is prime time to roast our MC for allegedly throwing his life away on video games. His buddy Tway instantly slides into his messages, telling him not to feed the troll. But right as the drama fizzles out, a massive news bomb drops. A secret realm is actively invading the real world. A sudden wave of regret hits our guy, realizing he should have absolutely exterminated that sinister, shadow boss back when he had it cornered. Hilariously enough, miles away, in some pitch-black abyss, that exact terrifying monster violently sneezes. Flash forward to the crack of dawn at the merchant hub. A female manager is viciously chewing out Shin for dragging her battered body into work, and since being a massive Karen is her true calling, she immediately pivots to hurling trash talk straight at our hero. Shin totally has his back, but this Karen is tripping on a major power trip today. literally dragging our guy's history through the mud just to score some cheap laughs. Before things get ugly, the literal floor erupts into razor-sharp spikes inches from her face, making her scramble like a complete amateur. Enter the main character. He caught every single word of that trash talk and is absolutely choosing violence today. Reality hits her like a truck, instantly activating her helpless victim persona as she screeches for security like she is about to be deleted. Shin is practically begging our dude to dip before it gets messy, but he just hits her with a chill smile. Q Wang, rolling up with his security squad, dripping with pure arrogance. Our guy instantly goes on the offensive, blasting Wang for creeping in the shadows, acting like some dollar store private eye, and having the audacity to brand him a criminal. Wang, playing the untouchable boss, acts way too elite to even respond, commanding his goons to lock him up. But the joke is completely on him, because our boy casually drops the ultimate flex, the supreme black card. The moment that legendary plastic flashes, the guards literally hit the brakes, leaving Wang and the loudmouth completely paralyzed in shock. Refusing to take the massive loss, Wang clings to his fragile ego, aggressively demanding to know how a nobody scored VIP status. Our hero just smirks and tells him to go do his own homework, since he loves playing detective so much. Sweating bullets, Wang motions for the girl to watch our guy like a hawk while he frantically dials for backup outside. The crowd is completely baffled by the security blockade. Meanwhile, top dog Dong Ming, who already got the emergency memo from headquarters, rings Wang for a status update. Realizing he is officially cooked, Wang desperately tries to spin the disaster as a tiny mix-up. Yeah, Dong Ming is absolutely not buying that garbage. He totally rips into Wang for crossing our main character, since he literally bent over backwards trying to get on this kid's good side. Terrified of taking the fall for this massive blunder, Wang panics and changes his game plan. He is just standing there frozen, intensely regretting every single decision that led him to this exact moment. Throwing a massive desperation pass to save his own skin, he pulls out his phone to contact Duan, praying he can drag him into this dumpster fire as a meat shield. Cut back to the trading hub, where our guy and Shin are just chilling until Dong Ming and Duan burst through the doors. The sheer aura radiating off them makes the loudmouth girl violently flinch, finally realizing she just triggered a boss fight she cannot win. She looks over at Wang, who is sweating buckets like he just barely survived a nightmare raid. After checking our hero's vibe and seeing zero forgiveness in his eyes, Dong Ming brutally banishes Wang and his annoying sidekick. Snapping under the pressure, Wang unleashes his rage and decks the girl right in the face. But Dong Ming could not care less about their toxic meltdown. He casually waves his hand, having security literally toss the trash to the curb. Drama averted. The crew finally relaxes, as Shin pours some high-tier tea for our boy. Dong Ming immediately catches the super chill chemistry between Shin and the hero. Meanwhile, Shin herself is secretly fangirling hard, totally mind-blown that a dude this young is casually hanging out with city elites. Mid-conversation, Dong Ming casually name-drops the premium loot catalog our guy was scrolling through earlier. When pressed for details, the hero smoothly admits he was hunting for an endgame relic, leaving the two veterans staring at him like he grew a second head. Catching their baffled faces, he quickly covers his tracks, claiming he read about it on some forums and just thought the lore sounded insanely cool. Flashback to last night, when our dude finally cracked open that skill manual from Wei. It ends up being a heavy-duty spell mage's pop to juice up their mana mid-fight. He takes it for a spin, and out of nowhere, the system flashes a cryptic notification about the endgame relic with zero context attached. Hitting a dead end, he decides to shelf the mystery for another day and crashes for the night. Pooh! Back in the present, Dong Ming drops an exclusive invite for Duan and our hero to check out Longbow City before popping a teleport scroll to instantly vanish. With the big boss gone, our guy's stomach rumbles, so Duan pitches a feast back at his crib. Rolling up to Duan's ridiculous mansion, our hero is soaking in the insane aesthetic when Duan randomly offers him a room permanently. But our guy is holding out to grind for his own property in the neighborhood. Duan tries to play rich uncle with a loan, but our boy strictly rejects the charity run. He has already stacked a massive pile of crystal coins, flipping gear, definitely enough to drop on a massive house right this second. But blowing his entire stash in one go is bad business, so he opts for the slow grind. As they kick back with their drinks, Duan has a whole culinary team on standby, until his phone starts buzzing. It is Zhongji calling with a massive heads up about the official investigation squad, who are currently snooping into the recent monster waves and want a hardcore interrogation. Duan instantly realizes this could put a target on our guy's back, so he hits pause to check the hero's vibe. To buy time, he completely ghosts Zhongji, claiming he is off the grid. When Duan breaks the news, our dude is drawing a total blank on who these feds even are. Meanwhile, a super tense summit of top brass is going down, debating over a ghost player who supposedly soloed the Chinyu City threat, even though nobody caught his face on camera. Regardless, the hype train is off the rails, painting him as an absolute mythic tier hero. But one suit at the table finally voices what everyone else is secretly thinking. The whole story sounds like absolute, unadulterated fiction. Zulan scrambles to make sense of the situation, pitching the theory that the invasion wrapped up so fast, it instantly wiped out the entire mutant army in a single night. But this suit is totally not buying it, clapping back that a paused assault literally proves zero. On top of that, they just dealt with threats scaling way past the Demon King tier, and beasts packing that kind of firepower do not just pull a vanishing act. Chi watches this whole standoff go down, silently knowing the exact reason Lan is sweating bullets right now. She totally wiped the hero from the database to protect his identity, and now she is the one tanking all the massive backlash. Right on cue, John crashes the meeting to announce Dwan is a no-show, which absolutely shatters the frustrated dude's last shred of patience. Between the Phantom Savior playing hide-and-seek and the missing lead detective, he officially snaps and crowns himself the head of this entire operation. Fast forward, and this exact guy rolls up to the Iway tomb, an extremely classified drop zone tucked deep inside the hidden domain. He claims he is gathering intel, but honestly, calling his next move an investigation is a massive stretch. Heavy, suffocating dark energy chokes the atmosphere, and then, this dude pulls the most unhinged stunt imaginable. His pupils glow like neon signs, and before anybody can step in, he starts greedily soaking up the cursed aura right as a massive beast materializes in his face. Meanwhile, over at Dwan's luxury pad, our main guy is fiercely locked into his mobile game, but right as he is about to secure the dub, his interface pings him regarding the ultimate artifact. He immediately catches a hostile frequency spiking in the distance, dials into its exact coordinates, snatches up his hoodie, and prepares to slide out. Dwan steps into the room right as he is heading for the door, so the overpowered protagonist casually tosses him the phone to clutch up the match while he sprints toward the cemetery. Checking his radar, our protagonist spots the artifact physically shifting locations, while back at the burial grounds, the frontline security team is collectively losing their minds. A horrifying abomination has spawned, sporting a grotesquely mutated flesh suit that actually has that cocky investigator physically melded into its chest. The trapped dude is screaming his lungs out for a rescue, while the sheer panic completely gridlocks the nearby city streets. Ditching his jammed cab, our boy decides to parkour his way there, while Wei-Lan and her junior aide finally hit the scene. They instantly freeze in absolute terror because this mutation is beyond nightmare fuel, cutting to a beaten-down Lan resting her head on Chi's lap. Chi is speedrunning first aid using the top-tier gadgets our boy hooked them up with, but even with premium tech, those gashes are way too severe. Forcing herself to sit upright, Lan drops the devastating reality check that this freak of nature is currently bulldozing its way straight toward the city center. The mayor already deployed Dwan to the front lines, but Lan knows the harsh truth. Dwan might be elite, but against this specific raid boss, he is basically just cannon fodder meant to stall. Their absolute only shot at survival rests on our Phantom Savior, and almost like fate dialed him up, the overpowered king intercepts the beast. The abomination aggressively dives forward, only to smash face first into an invisible, rock-solid shield, leaving it completely stunned and clueless. His interface suddenly drops a rare prompt asking if he wants to consume the entity, and our guy clicks accept without hesitation. The split second he confirms, an absolutely cracked wave of pure adrenaline violently surges through his veins, skyrocketing his base stats off the charts. But that massive power-up comes with a creepy side effect, flooding his brain with a rapid-fire montage of deeply disturbing, glitchy memories. Dwan finally touches down way past the climax, and our main character casually updates him that the threat is entirely zeroed out. Then Dwan spots that rogue investigator crumpled on the pavement, looking borderline deceased. But before he can even process the scene, the protagonist dips out and forces him to handle the messy aftermath. Cut to the maximum security block in Chinyu City, where the recently incarcerated dude finally caves and starts spilling the actual tea. It turns out he stumbled upon a fiend inside the hidden domain, brilliantly decided to play around with cursed magic, and basically triggered the entire apocalypse by mistake. Fast forward, and the entire metropolis is heavily buzzing about a shadow guardian protecting their streets, prompting Zhongyi to press Duan on whether he ever actually locked eyes with this legend. Duan drops a subtle nod, making Zhongyi instantly pivot and demand a VIP introduction to this overpowered mystery man. His genius strategy is to literally throw infinite cash and perks at the guy to lock him down as a permanent city asset, but Duan immediately flatlines that pipe dream. He hits him with the reality that the Phantom Savior is a total ghost who hates being tied down, which is easy to sell since, honestly, this separate hero persona is totally fake. Our protagonist and Duan were 5 steps ahead, purposely funneling all the massive clout onto an entirely fabricated identity to dodge the spotlight. Without concrete receipts, Zhang Yi has exactly zero chance of tracking down even a whisper of this guy. And to really sell the lie, Duan smoothly fabricates a story, claiming the elusive legend is strictly focused on protecting his vulnerable relatives tucked away inside Chinyu City. It is 100% cap, but it sounds incredibly professional, especially with Chi and Lan flawlessly backing up the cover story. They double down that the secret ace strictly operates off the grid, while our boy is actively chilling in a bubble bath piecing the ultimate puzzle together. He realizes these hyped-up ultimate artifacts are literally just the decayed bone fragments of ancient, defeated Shadow Kings. All those cinematic, nightmare-inducing flashbacks that invaded his brain were strictly the leftover memory files of a trashed final boss. He low-key feels utterly robbed by the system, but sitting on a dark throne was never his vibe anyway, as he is already cooking up a totally different meta-strategy. He fully grasps that these dimensions are straight-up suffocating in cursed energy and infinitely scaling in difficulty, knowing that the second this compromised timeline hits its breaking point, it is literally a wrap for humanity. Because currently in his server, you can count on one hand the amount of absolute sweatlords who have even unlocked the Fourth Awakening phase, and even that is a stretch. Their whole cultivation system is absolute garbage. Plus, their classes are straight up useless for actually staying alive. He rips that terrifying truth straight from the Demon Lord's memory files. If they keep running these trash builds, the human race is getting wiped out. Yeah, our guy is completely busted and could easily survive, but wandering a monster-packed wasteland solo? Hard pass. Thank God for the multiverse, right? Because in a few alternate timelines, humanity actually locked in and fought back. Light bulb moment. He decides to loot more ancient remains, extract the meta strategies, and leak that knowledge to the masses. But he has to play it low-key so he does not catch crazy aggro. Suddenly, his phone buzzes. It is Yue, sliding in to buy him dinner. Finally, a massive win for the day. He instantly locks it in. Cut to her guild, where everyone is throwing a hype party. Both Yue and Chung just hit their second job advancements, and the squad is going crazy. Chung tries to flex, announcing he rented out a VIP room at a 5-star spot to celebrate. Big yikes. Yue drops the bomb that she is already booked with our main character. She tells them to postpone the party till tomorrow and straight up dips. Chung's ego shatters. He gets super salty, whining that she is acting like an entitled diva. Meanwhile, our guy is absolutely destroying a plate of roasted lamb, tearing into it like it is a legendary drop. Honestly, with how chaotic his life has been, this meal hits different. Yue just spilled the tea on the hidden class secrets, leaving him deep in thought. Flashing back to the Demon Lord's mind files, he realizes something huge about the awakened warriors. Even the ancient slaves were completely nerfed and never hit their true level caps. Since the past generation fumbled the bag so hard, these magical emblems gotta be the cheat codes to uncap their power. But Yue is sitting there looking crushed. She actually wanted to swipe her card and buy those emblems for him and her crew. Shaking it off, she lectures him about grinding. She warns him to stop slacking, level up, and build some self-defense. Our boy, being an absolute menace, spots a golden opportunity to troll. He smirks, claiming that solo grinding is way too much effort. Why bother when he has a powerhouse like her to carry him? Yue blushes, completely caught off guard. But before she can snap back, she winces hard. Turns out, she took massive damage on her last raid. Instead of asking for a healer, she just tanked the pain in silence. Just as our hero opens his mouth, his screen lights up with an unknown caller. He answers, and the voice spitting through the speaker is straight up hostile. The dude aggressively interrogates him about his emblem source. Clearly, this is not a friendly chat. Our guy gives zero cares and instantly hangs up. When he relays the threat, Yue looks completely ghosted. She kept that intel strictly off the record, meaning there is a rat somewhere. While they are still connecting the dots, the phone blasts off again. The stalker is fuming now, screaming through the mic. Without missing a beat, the main character hits the block button. He does not have time for clowns. They wrap up their dinner date and head their separate ways. But the second he unlocks his front door, his gamer senses tingle. His crib is completely trashed. Sofas are flipped, glass is shattered, and the whole room looks like a war zone. Dead center of the wreckage stands an intruder. It takes our guy 0.5 seconds to recognize the face. It is the toxic caller from earlier, suddenly, killing intense spikes behind our hero's back. He does not even blink. He smoothly sidesteps the ambush, grabs the stealth attacker by the face, and slams him straight through the drywall. The phone stalker watches his buddy get folded and freezes in pure terror. The main character shoots him a death glare, dropping a cold reminder. In this world, power commands respect. You do not negotiate until you prove you can survive. The intruder is sweating bullets, his brain short-circuiting as he tries to process the slaughter. His intel explicitly painted our hero as a low-tier scrub. Unfortunately for these goons, our boy has been secretly farming insanely high stat boosts. His agility is off the charts. He is just relying on raw physicals, no magic needed to absolutely sweep the floor with them. The leader throws a desperate, sloppy punch. When our guy casually deflects it, the thug hits full panic mode. He sprints for the balcony and launches himself into the night air, praying for a clean escape. Not today. Our boy snatches his ankle mid-flight and violently yanks him back into the living room. Nobody wrecks his setup and walks away. Cut to 5 minutes later, the two assassins are battered, deeply traumatized, and stripped down to their boxers. They literally coughed up all their gear and gold just to breathe. Playing bad cop, our hero extracts the truth. Shocker. Chung orchestrated this whole raid. The salty guildmate hired them to dox and destroy our boy. But since Chung wanted to play dirty, the main character decides it is time to deliver some hardcore karma. He raises his hand and unleashes a blacklisted curse right into their skulls, a spell designed to completely fry their brain cells. Scene shifts. Chung is chilling with a tank from his guild, grinning like an absolute mastermind. He thinks his hit squad is handling the main character right now. We also learn this clown tried to set Yue up during their recent dungeon run. His toxic strategy? He intentionally lost aggro on the boss, hoping it would terrify her so he could dive in at the last second, play the ultimate white knight, and steal the spotlight. But Yue is an absolute unit. She took massive damage, but soloed the boss anyway. Right as Chung boasts, his scout kicks the door open. Chung is practically salivating for the dirt, barking orders for a full report. But the guy who eavesdropped on them completely ignores the demand, flipping the script to interrogate them about UI instead. Fingers clamped down like iron vises around the throats of Chung and his shield warrior. But plot twist this attacker? He is just a mindless puppet. Our MC is the real mastermind here, and his blood is boiling over what they pulled with UI. He wants them to suffer, savoring every second of their terror instead of granting them a quick exit. A fast death? Way too merciful. He unleashes a twisted hex that absolutely shatters their sanity, ripping apart their very souls piece by piece until they literally crumble into ash. Honestly, it is a total win-win for our boy. Zero evidence left behind, and absolutely no crime scene to scrub down. Still, this little home invasion serves as a massive wake-up call. His block security is a total joke. Elite tier awakened are just waltzing in and out like it is a public park. Sure, he can body drop them effortlessly, but he cannot exactly play mall cop at his own front door 24/7. Imagine if those clowns had actually sniffed out the forbidden intel he jacked from the Demon Lord's memories. Absolute game over. Thankfully, he had not even cracked open that mental vault yet. But none of that matters right now, because he desperately needs a fortress that actively repels uninvited stalkers. Duan's pad? An impenetrable stronghold. Exactly what the doctor ordered. Fast forward to Duan's living room, where the MC drops the whole bombshell. Predictably, Duan goes absolutely nuclear. The dude is ready to gear up, launch a full-scale manhunt, and crack skulls. But our guy? He is dialed into the bigger picture. He desperately needs a potion maker. But not just anyone, a top-tier talent who can keep their mouth shut and is not chained to some drama-obsessed mega guild. Duan has a Rolodex full of elite crafters, but they are all corporate sellouts working for massive factions. Way too many snitches, way too high of a risk. Thanks to the Demon Lord's brain backup, our hero knows the underworld employed absolute gods of alchemy, brewing elixirs that would make this era's magic look like tap water. He is sitting on a goldmine of their legendary recipes, but without a legit pro to decode the chemistry, he is basically staring at alien hieroglyphics. Plus, after the morning's bloody little greeting, he is not trying to lure in any more blood-sucking parasites like Chung. Cue the next morning. UI hits him up, casually dropping that she literally knows the exact unicorn he is hunting for. Enter Shu Wei. He is the brother of her guild's star healer, and was actually supposed to squad up with them, but he fiercely clashed with Chung's toxic vibe. Well, consider that beef permanently squashed. Thanks to our MC, Chung's schedule is completely clear for the rest of eternity. When UI starts poking around, asking why he is suddenly playing Breaking Bad, our guy just hits her with a string of half-baked deflections. She clearly is not buying it, but she lets it slide anyway. Cut to the meetup. The MC sits down with Wei, ditching the girls outside to talk shop. Wei scrutinizes the scrolls. His eyes widen. The raw materials? Dirt cheap. But the brewing matrix? It is an insanely intricate masterpiece, light years ahead of anything in modern textbooks. Then, our boy casually drops the nuke. This brew turbocharges experience farming by 100%. Wei literally stops breathing. His jaw hits the floor. The most premium, bank-breaking buffs in the city max out at a pathetic 40%. And staring him right in the face is a flawless, max stat cheat code. If this formula leaks, the entire hierarchy crumbles. Absolute rookies would be skyrocketing through the ranks over a long weekend. Frantic, Wei begs the MC to stay put, bolting upstairs to his lab like a man possessed, dumping tea-pouring duties onto a very confused Ting. Downstairs, it is all chill vibes and polite sipping, a rare moment of total peace, until violent, questionable thuds start violently shaking the ceiling boards. They sprint up the steps, bursting into the room just in time to catch a massive, glowing test slime trying to jailbreak its tank. Amidst the utter chaos, Wei emerges from the smoke. He is practically vibrating with manic, mad scientist energy, screaming that the brew is a total triumph. One tiny drop on the slime, and its experience gauge absolutely redlined with flawless efficiency. Boom. Proof of concept. The MC now knows his entire stash of demon recipes is pure gold. Ting, however, is completely paralyzed, staring at her older brother. This ultra-serious geek, who treats his lab like a sacred temple, is currently trashing the place in a state of pure hysteria. Once the adrenaline crash hits, Wei forces the girls to swear absolute blood oaths of silence. Then, he locks eyes with our hero. What is the next play? Before the MC can map out his empire, his phone buzzes. Chi Wei sliding into his direct messages with breaking news. The top brass is shipping out the seniors to a highly classified, ultra-exclusive dungeon next week. Spots are insanely tight, forcing the classes to cycle through in brutal rotations. The school's group chat instantly melts down into pure chaos. Reading the panic, our boy's vision snaps into dead focus. He is going to use his own body as ground zero for the experience buffs. Once he perfects the batch and unleashes it, the market will not just shift, it will shatter. But tidal waves of cash always attract absolute sharks. Thugs like Chung will be swarming like flies on a carcass, desperate to siphon off his empire. Yeah, not happening. Our guy refuses to serve up his masterpiece on a silver platter. The real alpha move? Juicing up his own inner circle first. He is going to build an untouchable syndicate in the shadows before the public even realizes they have been outplayed. First, recruit on his radar, Ji Cheng. That absolute unit of a berserker from UI's squad is definitely making the VIP beta tester list. The dude hits like a freight train, vibes flawlessly with UI. And let us be real, having a walking meat shield in your corner is basically mandatory survival strategy. Without missing a beat, he tosses a fresh stack of demonic blueprints over to Wei. The alchemist scans them, only to hit a massive wall. Half these ingredients are a total mystery to modern science. The squad runs a test drive on their very first batch of experience potions and hits up the MC to roll with them. While Wei is sweating bullets trying to brew enough juice before 0 hour, Yue and Ting are busy playing sheepdog, wrangling the whole crew together. And our guy? He is practically becoming one with the wallpaper, acting straight up like a background extra in his own main character timeline. When drop day finally hits, our boy beats everyone to the rendezvous point, just chilling on the curb. A transit bus packed with students rolls up, and the trash talk instantly fires off. Honestly, looking at these clowns, roasting him at the dungeon gates is practically built into their morning routine. The mob of students is stuck playing the waiting game. Yue rolls through with her squad, and since those randoms belong to Class 2, they get the absolute honor of burning 2 whole hours in line. Suddenly, they catch the MC, Yue, Xiangshu, and the sibling duo, just casually bypassing the queue like absolute A-listers. Obviously, the peanut gallery starts losing their minds. But right before a riot breaks out, Chi drops a reality check, explaining that our guy is actually spearheading the guild straight into the abyssal depths, a totally different weight class, compared to their kiddie pool raid. But logic has never cured pure envy. A few whispers of Yue's name ripple through the crowd, which instantly pings the radar of a seriously heavy-hitting clique. We are talking about Chung Mukyu, sitting at rank 4, Li Qi at rank 3, and Gu Yunzhou, flexing that number 2 spot. Unlike the local crybabies, this trio does not bother yapping. They just bulldoze their way straight into the instance. Deep inside the raid zone, the MC and Yue's squad finally touch down. Wei starts passing around the experience juice, and the whole crew hypes up our boy, even though Yue knows he is usually allergic to socializing. Ever since he botched his initial awakening at 16, he has been everyone's favorite punching bag, and instead of fighting back, he just went full turtle mode. So, catching him actually exchanging words, without looking like he is sitting on hot coals, is wild. She is crossing her fingers that he is finally breaking out of his shell. Snapping the squad back to game mode, Yue drops a harsh truth bomb. They are rolling without a meat shield or heavy magic artillery, meaning a single screw-up equals game over. To keep them breathing, she specifically benches our hero from pulling any flashy stunts that might pull aggro. Because let us be real, the guy is a massive overachiever. The playbook is dummy simple. She kites the mobs, Xiangshu acts as the brick wall, and Wei manages the buff timings. The MC thinks this grinding strategy is agonizingly slow, but he bites his tongue and plays along for the sake of team synergy. Combat kicks off. Yue lets an arrow rip, pinning a decaying crawler, and instantly, the entire horde aggros. Ting slaps a massive attack buff on Xiangshu, who drops the hammer so hard a shockwave straight up vaporizes the front line. Right on cue, Wei's pyromancy turns the rest into extra crispy bacon. With the floor cleared, Ting and Xiangshu are absolutely buzzing, already mapping out their second evolutions. acing the entrance boards and securing spots at an elite academy alongside Yue. Out of nowhere, a booming laugh bounces off the cavern walls. Yunjo swaggers out of the shadows with Li Qi and Mukyu, looking ridiculously smug. He finds it absolutely hilarious that a bunch of bottom-tier scrubs are actually dreaming of Ivy League dungeons. Ting and Xiang Shu clock their faces. But the math is not mathing. These heavyweights do not even hail from Chinju City. Yue immediately squares up, demanding their angle. Yunjo cuts the filler, admitting they trekked all this way specifically to hunt her down and recruit her into their super squad. But Yue does not even blink before dropping a cold, hard rejection. Since she is already rolling with her own guild, Yunjo pivots. He tries to sweeten the pot by tossing a pity invite to Ting, despite her garbage ranking, but Yue's answer is still a flat no. Seeing that she is built like a brick wall, Yunjo switches up his manipulation tactics. He starts preaching about how dungeon monsters are getting way deadlier thanks to recent rifts, and how the top-tier universities just skyrocketed their admission standards. This season, if you are not running with an elite squad or packing god-tier potential, you are cooked. He hard sells it as a once-in-a-lifetime golden ticket, hyping up how every rookie in the country is sweating blood to draft their ultimate dream team, including his own powerhouse trio, naturally. His core obsession with Yue boils down to her raw, main character potential, a massive contrast to her current squad, who are basically destined for the trash bin. Yue officially hits her breaking point and materializes her weapon. Sensing the massive spike in bloodlust, Ting jumps in, pleading that they just bounce to a different grinding zone. Yue just gives the silent treatment. She literally turns on her heel and strides off, her crew trailing close behind. But our MC? He just stays planted, either running complex calculations or just completely spacing out, until Li Qi marches right into his personal space. Trying to act like an alpha, the guy demands to know if he is Feng. The MC drops a totally deadpan no. Li Qi instantly spits venom. Having seen enough disrespect, Xiang Shu steps up, barking at Yunjo's crew to back the hell off. Without warning, Li Qi launches a brutal hook. Xiang Shu throws up his guard, but the sheer kinetic force blasts through, completely knocking the wind out of his lungs. Yue lunges forward to back her boy, but Yunjo slides right into her path. She shoots him absolute daggers, demanding he step aside. Xiang Shu, meanwhile, likely nursing a couple of shattered ribs right now, straight up refuses to fold. He tightly winds his fist, fully prepared to throw down. Fencing that beastly claw would secure an absolute bag. But there is zero time to celebrate. Li Qi is already lunging back into the fray. Ting and Yue snap into battle mode, desperate to intercept the incoming haymaker. Yet right before impact, our incredibly quiet protagonist finally makes his move, lazily raising a single palm. Boom. A crackling mana shield materializes out of thin air, completely neutralizing the strike. Jaws literally drop across the room as the MC casually tanks a full power blow without breaking a single sweat. Oh, but he is not done. Snatching his attacker's wrist mid-momentum, he absolutely yeets the guy across the battlefield. Li Qi violently eats dirt, while our MC brutally spits his enemy's own trash talk right back in his face, delivering maximum emotional damage alongside the physical beatdown. Panicking, Yunjo sprints over to salvage his wrecked teammate, only to get instantly punished when Yue sinks a razor-sharp arrow straight into his lower spine. Meanwhile, Mukyu, the absolute last man standing from their doomed squad, is completely frozen in place, his brain literally blue screening as he tries to process the sheer carnage that had just erupted before her. Our MC never planned on things escalating this far, but hey, they were the ones who kept poking the bear. He pivots to Ting, ordering him to patch up Si Yangshu, before demanding to know how he's going to handle Li Qi. Shi Yangshu makes it clear he'll follow our hero's lead, so our boy lays down the terms, take all of Li Qi's gear as compensation. Yunjo dares to object, but our MC silences him with a single, devastating punch straight into the ground. The shockwave alone sends Yunju into a full-blown existential crisis. He immediately offers up his own equipment, doing a complete 180-degree flip in his attitude. Our hero just gives him a cold warning to stay in his lane. Mukyu wisely follows suit, surrendering her gear without a fight. With the beef settled, our boy announces it's time to get back to the grind. As they walk away, Yua pipes up, mentioning how she was all set to help him power level, but clearly, he didn't need any handouts. Our MC dodges the comment with a vague excuse, and she's smart enough not to push it. Whatever his secret is, she's just genuinely hyped for him. Dion, Shu, and Ting are buzzing, dying to know which university our MC is shooting for, but our boy plays it off like he hasn't given it a second thought. At least, that's the vibe he's putting out. In reality, he knows exactly why he'll never step foot inside one of those institutions. Places like that are choked with rules and restrictions, offering way too many chances for someone to accidentally leak secrets that need to stay buried. So instead of indulging them, He smoothly pivots the conversation back to something that actually matters, like pushing forward and grinding. But leveling up isn't as simple as snapping your fingers, especially when you're locked out of using forbidden magic. Still, thanks to his insane attribute bonuses and some seriously stacked gear, he manages with the spells built into his items. A few days later, he finally crashes at home, having only gained a single level, and that was only after chugging an experience potion. He's just so used to steamrolling high-level bosses with game-breaking spells that he forgot what a normal grind even feels like. Someone like Yua could rocket to level 60 and unlock her second class in just 2 years. Meanwhile, players stuck with 1- or 2-star professions would be better off just enrolling in a university than farming low-level mobs for the rest of their lives. But our hero isn't about to get bogged down by that depressing reality. Instead, he decides it's time for a much-deserved rest. For the next few days, he just soaks in the simple joys of a normal life. Just as he's starting to feel human again, his phone buzzes. It's Yang Xin, calling to give him a heads up about an upcoming auction with some seriously rare items on the block. But more importantly, Master Tang wants to know if he's planning to show up. With absolutely nothing else going on, our MC confirms he'll be there. Soon after, he meets Tong Yu Chai, an appraiser from the Qin Yu trading branch who took over after Wang's departure. They exchange the usual polite greetings, and our hero flips through the auction catalog, only to see page after page of mage-related gear. That's totally useless for him. Right as he's about to chalk the whole thing up as a waste of time, he spots it. The exact same potion he helped Shu Wei formulate. Instantly, every alarm bell in his head goes off. He demands to know where they got it. Yukai explains it was listed by the Kangaroo Guild through the official trading post. Our boy knows that name. The Kangaroo Guild isn't just some random crew. They're one of the country's biggest powerhouses, loaded, influential, and definitely not the type to just randomly discover a top-tier potion formula. This means it's one of two things. Either Wei sold him out and cashed in on the formula, or something much darker is at play. Yukai then mentions a new, secret realm called the Divine Trial. It's a solo-only challenge tower where you get a reward every 10 floors. One of those rewards happens to be a recipe for an experience potion. This is the first our hero has ever heard of a dungeon like this. Officially, all challengeable realms have to be registered, their info all neatly filed away on some government server. But our guy couldn't care less about regulations or new content. His only priority is Wei. That being said, the name, Divine Trial, sounds way too over the top for his liking. And as if the universe, or more accurately, the system, heard him, a quest notification pops up. Clear the Divine Trial in 2 months, or be permanently deleted. Now, most people would absolutely lose their minds at the thought of being wiped from existence. But our hero? He finds it exhilarating. After the meeting, he and Duan start digging and quickly discover the realm is completely controlled by the Kangaroo Guild. They have exclusive access, which means no outsiders can get in without their direct approval. But since our MC's very existence is on the clock, he decides he'll cross that bridge when he comes to it. By the time he arrives at the trial's entrance, he's already gathered a ton of intel, thanks to the guild's own forums, where they posted info to attract powerful players. Slipping past the guards is supposed to be child's play for him, or at least it should have been. The very second his hand makes contact with the entrance, a massive explosion rips through the guild's headquarters miles away. Sirens are blaring as people freak out, scrambling to inform their leader. Meanwhile, our boy slips back into his room through a shadowy portal, completely unnoticed. His head is spinning, trying to make sense of what just went down. The very instant he made contact with the entrance, a tidal wave of raw energy just obliterated him. It ripped right through his defenses, even compromising his system, the one thing that is never supposed to fail. It took a direct hit, and now, it won't stop spamming his vision with critical damage alerts. Over at the Trial Realm's entrance, healers are swarming the guards who were knocked unconscious by the blast. He Shu, the master of the Answer Guild, stands back, taking in the whole chaotic scene. One of the guards finally groans back to consciousness and starts explaining what happened. He stammers that there was a massive explosion right at the realm's gate, and then everything went black. This isn't something that just happens, which gets Hisho's gears turning. He starts theorizing that the realm itself must have glitched out or something. But before he can dive deeper into that rabbit hole, a priestess steps forward. She proposes using magic to reveal what truly occurred. Lifting her staff, she chants an incantation, and glowing magical circles flare to life as time itself begins to peel backward. This is all possible because the Trial Realm is equipped with a slick security feature, image recording, and time rewind capabilities. Yeah, it's the whole package. As the scene rewinds, they witness a sinister figure creeping toward the entrance. This guy is dripping with ominous energy. Before he can take a single step inside, a second deity, glowing with holy power, materializes and literally drop kicks him out of existence. After the confrontation, the holy deity looks incredibly stressed out and anxious. He mutters about having to hunt down the dark intruder before he can inflict some serious damage on the world. As they listen, everyone watching the playback is left completely stunned. An emergency meeting with the 7 guild leaders is convened on the spot. As they meticulously review the footage, the leaders all agree. That was without a doubt a deity. Lu Yingjin chimes in, noting that while the deity's identity is a mystery, the power on display was off the charts. The magic unleashed in that clash was potent enough to be classified as legendary, forbidden curse-level stuff. Yang Zhou brings up old reports about Shio technically conquering the trial and earning a deity's personal recognition. He even got the god's blessing. Shio confirms the story, admitting he never in a million years expected a deity to actually show up in person. Yuling Shua, however, is not feeling good about any of this. She points out that if someone slinging forbidden tier magic couldn't completely vaporize that dark entity, they are in some serious trouble. Luo Yuning nods, sharing her unease. In the middle of the tension, Wang Bo floats a theory. What if those forbidden spells are specifically designed to be used against that dark deity? The moment he says it, Zhong Yanzhuan jumps on the idea, suggesting they put that theory to the test. But Shio sees right through their little act. He's known for ages that these guild leaders have been hungry for a piece of the trial realm, and now they're leveraging this crisis to strong-arm him into opening it. Fine, he'll open it, but he's not letting them go in blind. He warns them that the monsters lurking inside are no joke, and at their current level, they're going to get absolutely demolished. And as for getting the deity's blessing, in his book, they are nowhere near worthy. At that, Yingjin turns to Old Feng to get his take on the situation. But the second Old Feng hears the proposition, he completely blows a gasket. Yingjin has to physically restrain him to keep him from incinerating the room. They dragged him here for a major incident, but judging by the actual flames flickering around his face, he's moved way past pissed off. His own apprentice had warned them about weird stuff going on in the city, but they completely blew him off. They sent in their own B team and just made everything 100 times worse. If it wasn't for that mysterious hero who saved Qianyu City, they'd all have innocent blood on their hands. Yingjin desperately tries to de-escalate, reminding him that throwing a fiery tantrum isn't going to solve a single thing. This old man had been in retirement for years after paying a heavy price for messing with dark power. And now, here he is, being pulled right back into the very same mess. Yingjin suggests that Old Feng show the recording of the incident to this mysterious hero. Maybe that person can offer some insight. And to sweeten the pot, he slides over a bottle of extremely fine wine as a bribe. Miraculously, the bribe works. Old Feng's fiery rage begins to simmer down, and he finally agrees to the plan. Back at Duan's villa, our protagonist is staring down his system notifications. A new mission just dropped. Complete his second transformation. It's the only way to repair his busted system. He steps out of his room to find Old Feng and Lan just chilling in his living room. Duan handles the introductions, and it doesn't take long for our main character to figure out exactly who he's meeting. This guy isn't just some retired veteran. He's a living, breathing legend. He's stacked up more accomplishments than most people have had good days. From pioneering secret realms to single-handedly dismantling entire evil adventurer guilds, he's also known as the most powerful mutant alive. And while most members of Lone Shadow stay in the, well, shadows, Old Feng's reputation alone is enough to make entire armies turn and run. This legendary old man then hands our boy a small gift, a casual few million in crystal coins, and hundreds of bottles of high-tier experience potions. Our MC, still trying to reboot his brain after being handed a literal fortune, finally asks them what they want. Instead of answering, Old Feng just plays the recording. Our boy can barely breathe. That terrifying, world-ending entity they're all freaking out about is literally him. A notification flashes across his vision. The system updates the transformation quest, and he feels the digital walls closing in, trying to force his hand. But this is a terrible time to lose his cool. So, even with his heart hammering against his ribs, he slaps on a perfect poker face. He smoothly promises to forward the recording to this so-called mysterious hero and hits them with a catch you later before ducking out of there. Lan slips him her contact card for any future updates, and a jolt of recognition hits him. It's the same woman from the Profession Change Center. The moment they're alone, a sly grin spreads across Old Feng's face as he starts scheming. His mind is already racing, figuring out how to get this kid on their side, when Lan asks if he thinks the boy and the hero could be one and the same. Old Feng couldn't care less. If the MC wants to play the part of a clueless student, the old man is more than happy to play along. As long as the mysterious hero is in their corner, they are not about to start asking questions, especially not when their enemies are leveling up daily. Back on his own, the MC starts piecing together what went so wrong with his system. He's pretty sure that deity was hunting him the day before, and given how effortlessly the cosmic being demolished his defenses, It's clear its power level is ridiculously OP. This is a full-blown crisis. So, his number one priority becomes fixing the system by unlocking his third transformation. It is the only thing shielding him from that deity's radar, but he can't just ditch his other mission, either. If he cannot figure out a way to weaponize the enemy's own power against them, then it means he just signed up for an even bigger catastrophe down the line. That's when he gets a ping from Duan, who's got fresh intel from Old Feng about the trial's secret realm. Apparently, the place is a tower. Nobody knows how many floors it has, because no one has ever seen the top. The creatures crawling inside are on a whole other level of lethal. The record for the highest floor ever cleared was the 42nd. And of course, that title belongs to the one and only Xiu, but our guy has much bigger problems to stress over. For starters, his whole evil god secret could get blown wide open, and with this trial's mechanics being a total wild card, he wouldn't be surprised if the deity's forbidden spell decided to make a surprise comeback. So maybe it's smarter to let someone else handle this trial. After all, the mission details never specified that he had to be the one to clear it. He turns to Duan, asking if he caught Xiu's run and what floor he thinks he could hit. If he were in Xiu's shoes, that is. Duan thinks it over for a second, before landing on a solid 35th floor. That seals the deal. Yeah, Xiu is nearing his 5th transformation and is objectively stronger, but Duan is loyal. He would much rather send in someone he can actually trust. At least this way, he won't have to watch his back for a sudden betrayal. Halfway up the tower. Decision made, he's going to prep Duan with a special one-on-one training session. Meanwhile, across town, Old Feng nearly drops his teacup when he hears the mysterious hero is sending a proxy to the Kangaroo Guild for the trial. Lon confirms it. Duan himself made the request and even asked for access to their private training room. Now Old Feng's eyes are lit with intrigue. Just the other day, the heads of all 7 guilds tried to tackle the trial, and guess what? Every single one of them got wrecked, even the legendary Ying Jun. So if Duan pulls off something big, well, this is going to be incredibly entertaining. A fire ignites within Old Feng, and it's not just a metaphor. It is a literal blaze, the steep price he constantly pays for his power, slowly burning his own life away. Cut to the training room, where our boy, Duan, Old Feng, and Lan are huddled up talking strategy, while Captain Zhou and a few others watch from a distance. Zhou, for one, is thanking every lucky star he has. He was this close to getting the MC kicked out of the test earlier, but the sudden eruption of chaos saved him, and the order never went through. Looking at how things have played out, he realizes that dodging that bullet was probably the best decision he never actually made. Our hero cases the joint while Duan discreetly passes a data drive to Lan, one that's absolutely loaded with prime intel. Lan plugs it in, her eyes widening at the contents. It has everything: monster weaknesses, floor layouts, and even top-secret info she's never seen before. Our boy literally ripped this data straight from the Demon Lord's memories, from back when that dude tried to invade the secret realm himself. So who better to spill all the secrets? Old Feng watches Duan train, but his mind is on the bigger picture. He asks Duan if the mysterious hero is positive that this evil god will actually destroy the world. It's the exact same question Duan had asked our boy just yesterday. Since Duan is part of his inner circle, the MC couldn't just brush him off, but revealing the whole truth was far too dangerous. It left him stuck in that awkward position of wanting to be honest without giving away the entire game. Now, Duan confidently repeats the answer our hero gave him. As long as the mysterious hero is around, nobody has anything to worry about. And for some reason, that incredibly vague response seems to be more than enough for Old Feng. Hands Duan the keys to the trial realm. Wasting zero time, Duan doesn't just march in, he more or less bulldozes his way inside. The second his foot crosses the threshold, monsters instantly lock onto him. They charge, he fights back, and though he manages to put them down, he definitely doesn't walk away without a scratch. Our boy, watching from the sidelines, points out that Duan should probably chill for a sec before he winds up in a full-body cast. But Duan is having none of it, insisting a quick breather is all he needs before round 2. This was a shot his master gave him, and there's no way he's going to fumble the bag. Lan, who's also spectating, knows with absolute certainty she'd get wrecked if she were in there. Those beasts are way past the 4th transformation, and she has zero desire to find out if her luck is any better than Duan's. Old Feng, however, is lost in thought. He'd gotten the rundown from Lan about our hero's ridiculously broken transformation speed, and now he's wondering if our boy could pull off something that insane. Could Duan do it too? Just maybe, this so-called mysterious hero could work his magic, shatter the established combat system, and unlock some kind of god-tier buff for Duan. The MC, meanwhile, is having the sudden, dawning horror that he might have massively underestimated this whole situation. He figured knowing the monster's weak spots would be a free pass to clear the trial, but it turns out people have actual physical limits. The same goes for their gear and abilities. And if Duan can't clutch this, the responsibility falls on him, which is just terrible news. Because his own combat skills are basically zero. His only real ace in the hole is forbidden magic, which is also the quickest way to blow his cover, or get himself into a world of hurt. So, deciding he's had his fill of potential catastrophes, for the day, he dips out on Lan and Old Feng. With classes starting next week, he's on a serious time crunch to power level. If Duan can't handle the trial, then our boy needs to be stacked with stronger skills or better gear to pick up the slack. The sneakiest way to get around without being spotted is with flying scrolls. Thankfully, he had the big brain idea to stock up on them. He pops one, rocketing into the sky before touching down near his target. Right in front of him is the entrance to a wild, untamed secret realm, the very same one Duan had mentioned. Since it's not under any official jurisdiction yet, there are no annoying rules to deal with. The area surrounding it is a total wreck, looking like a fresh war zone, but our hero doesn't have the time to investigate. He steps through the portal, praying this isn't the start of yet another massive headache. Inside, a crew of bloodthirsty fanatics has already annihilated another party. The moment they spot a flying scroll, their egos inflate to the size of a planet, immediately deciding that whoever it belongs to is already dead meat. As card-carrying fanboys of the Demon Lord, they're hyped that the day of his glorious return has finally come. But they have no idea that one of their unlucky victims was wearing an earpiece, and it's still live, broadcasting their entire secret plan. Deeper in the forest, another team is hiding out, and a girl on comms catches the words, "Secret Realm Invasion." She quickly connects the dots. The invasion is aimed at the mountain, and she immediately alerts her squad. The truly massive problem is the city of Chongling, located right next door, putting it directly in the path of total annihilation. Their captain weighs their options. One of their squads is already confirmed, wiped out, and even if they made a heroic charge, it would be a suicide mission. The monsters swarming that secret realm are on another level, and the city's magical defenses won't last long. With his back against the wall, he orders a full retreat to warn the higher-ups. Plan A: evacuate as many civilians as possible. Plan B: pray for a miracle. But with absolutely no surveillance gear, they have no way of knowing the exact moment the invasion will kick off, which means someone has to stay behind and act as a lookout. And the captain himself volunteers for the suicide watch. His squad, being the loyal comrades they are, instantly start protesting, but he shuts them down flat. He's already made peace with his fate as he hunkers down to await his doom. He makes one last call to his daughter. She, completely oblivious to the apocalyptic disaster her dad is caught in, just cheerfully wishes him a happy birthday. He barely gets a word out before a cataclysmic force erupts from the realm, so huge that even his retreating squad members can see the explosion. Meanwhile, back inside, our boy is busy giving the entire dimension a one-way ticket to the Ice Age. Popping his skill, he has unleashed the endless ice calamity, flash freezing every single monster in his path. Seeing as they've given him a juicy XP boost, he decides it's time to cash in his loot. The Demon Lord's followers are all geared up, ready to give their master a hero's welcome, only for our MC to casually stroll into their midst instead. For a solid minute, both sides just blankly stare at each other, completely shook. It turns out the Demon Lord they were so hyped for was already taken out by our boy. The followers scramble to process the situation. The MC obviously has no idea who they are, which rules him out as the Demon Lord's reincarnation or some high-ranking official. But what really messes with them is his sheer audacity, just waltzing into their secret base all by himself. Then, a light bulb goes off. They remember that flight scroll from earlier. They cook up this theory that our hero is just some clout chaser who tried to suck up to the Demon Lord, only to bail when he felt that overwhelming dark energy. So they straight up confront the MC, who hits them with a hard no. He makes it crystal clear, whatever his reasons are for being here, it's his business, period. This really triggers Gu Rong, one of the more arrogant members of the fan club. He starts puffing his chest out, going on and on about how legendary he is. But our hero isn't here for a history lesson. He cuts him short with an ultimatum: either throw down or get lost. And that was the final straw. The entire squad of wannabes loses it, deciding it's time to jump our boy. But just as they lunge forward, everything changes. The pressure drops, the air turns thick, the light itself seems to die, and just like that, all their bravado vanishes into thin air. They're terrified, and our MC decides to give them a real taste of fear, plunging them all into a horrific illusion. This isn't just a bad dream, it's a personalized hell, designed to exploit every single one of their insecurities and force them to relive their deepest traumas. Every crack in their armor is exposed, just like how he instantly spots the nagging old shoulder injury on Gu Rong from years of overuse and makes a beeline straight for that weakness. Meanwhile, deep in the woods, the squad captain is getting antsy. He's been waiting on the secret realm invasion on the mountain, but he's getting nothing but radio silence. Finally fed up, he decides to investigate himself. The second he arrives at the cave entrance, he freezes. Gurong and his entire squad are dead. He radios his team, who are completely floored by the news, but the horror show isn't over. The secret realm is locked under a colossal storm of ice, with not one monster left breathing. Still hoping for some kind of clue, he smashes through the frozen barrier to check on the boss, only to find its corpse, just as lifeless as everything else. Back at the safe house, our guy is trying to get Duan to take a day off, but Duan, who's hard stuck at level 45, is in full-blown panic mode. He's convinced he's not worthy enough to be in the MC's crew, but our hero just wants him to chill. The trial realm was just a warm-up. In the coming week, they're kicking off some serious special training. Duan is instantly relieved he hasn't been kicked from the team and eagerly scrambles off to order our boy some victory food. Our hero, meanwhile, decides to fire up a game to kill some time. As soon as he logs in, a message from Old Feng pops up asking to party up. For a hot second, he's totally baffled, wondering if the old dude got his account jacked. But nope, it's the real deal. And here's the kicker. Not only is this super serious old man a closet gamer, he's actually cracked at the game. It turns out he used to jam with his grandson, but the kid is currently drowning in exam prep. As fate would have it, the grandson is about the same age as the MC, so our boy suggests they all squat up sometime, and Old Feng is totally on board. Not that our hero is complaining. Keeping a heavyweight like Old Feng happy could definitely pay off down the line. As they're chatting, Old Feng brings up a supernova training camp being run by the country's top universities. The top prospects get automatic admission and are showered with insane training resources. He has 2 passes and offers one to the MC. At first, our hero couldn't care less. He has literal forbidden spells, so why would he need it? But then a dose of reality sinks in. He might have OP magic, but with 0 actual combat skills, trying to face down literal gods in the future is basically a suicide mission. He decides to take the spot. Old Feng snags both passes, one for our hero and another for his friend. He also mentions that his grandson and our MC are so alike that they're guaranteed to vibe. Later, at Chinyu City Senior Middle School, the hallways are buzzing with gossip about how even mid-tier universities are making their combat major requirements insanely tough. Their chatter is cut short by an announcement. A new transfer student is joining their class, and this student is none other than Mukyu. The MC recognizes her in a heartbeat, while the rest of the class absolutely freaks out like an A-list celebrity just walked in. She's a huge deal, and her being here is mind-blowing. Then, to make things a million times weirder for our hero, she asks to sit right next to him, and just like that, he's getting daggers stared at him from every direction. Principal Jiang is in Principal Fang's office, looking like he's about to flip a table. He's demanding to know how Mukyu was poached from his school, but Fang is completely in the dark. Jiang, though, isn't just salty about losing a star student. Mukyu also took an ultra-exclusive training camp spot with her, and that single move is about to absolutely tank his school's admission rate. This year, the entire province only got 4 of those spots. Fang's school had already scored 2, and now with Mukyu transferring, they just conveniently nabbed a 3rd. But before their shouting match can escalate, Fang's assistant, Liu, knocks and announces they have a guest. Fang tries to wave him off, but the second he hears the name Old Feng, both he and Jiang go pale. A VIP like Old Feng showing up unannounced isn't just weird, it's a massive red flag. The moment they come face to face with him, neither can figure out why a living legend would grace their humble campus. Then Old Feng introduces his grandson, Feng Rui, and drops a bombshell. He wants Rui to transfer here. Feng and Jiang are completely floored. Rui isn't just some nobody, he's a top 15 ranked beast on the national supernova list. And that's just his public rank. Word on the street is, if he went all out, he'd crack the top 5. Easy. Jiang's brain is short-circuiting, trying to compute why a prodigy like Rui would ditch the big leagues for a no-name academy like theirs. And for the plot twist, supernova students get an automatic ticket to the elite training camp. Just like that, their school scores another slot without lifting a finger. But wait, there's more. Old Feng isn't finished flexing. His bureau is sitting on 2 spare training camp slots, and he wants to gift them to students from this very school. At this point, Jiang is pretty sure he's hallucinating, but before he can object, Feng smoothly shuts him down and hands him off to Liu for a not-so-subtle escort out the door. Once the room is clear, Old Feng finally reveals the catch. Those 2 golden tickets? They're for our boy. But Feng hits the brakes. He knows the MC is a total newbie who just unlocked his powers. Old Feng's vibe is clear. Just do it. No questions asked. And considering his bureau calls the shots for both lone wolf adventurers and the 7 major guilds, Feng knows better than to argue. Over in the classroom, our MC's personal squad is leveling up. It's starting to look like an A-list clique. What began with just Mukyu has exploded to include Rui, Xiangshu, Yue, and Ting, all of them orbiting him like he's the center of the universe. The T is, after the school reached out to Chung, he voluntarily dropped his training camp spot, letting Ting swoop in and claim it. Xiangshu also managed to snag a spot, and is absolutely fangirling over meeting the legendary Rui. Mukyu, though, she is not feeling the vibe with all these new people. Suddenly, she's got major competition for the MC's attention. She even brought him a gift. Now, she just has to find the perfect moment to make her move. All the while, the rest of the class is just frozen, totally bewildered, as they watch this bizarre super squad assemble right before their eyes. It's like witnessing the birth of a new social hierarchy. But our boy has bigger fish to fry. He's low-key freaking out because no one else seems to care that Chung has completely vanished. Cut to the Zhao family mansion, where an assistant nervously suggests filing a missing person report for Chung since he's basically dropped off the face of the earth. But Chung's dad has already pulled some strings with a powerful contact to handle the investigation discreetly. With that outsourced, his focus pivots back to the drama unfolding at the school. The assistant reports that he secured an extended leave of absence for Chung, using specialized training as the cover story. The principal bought it without asking too many questions, though he was clearly bummed about losing a contender. For the training camp, crisis averted. Chung's father then demands total privacy and heads upstairs to inspect his son's room. Inside, he slips through a secret panel into a hidden chamber. Back at school, an ecstatic Rui shoves a skill book into our boy's hands. It's a rare water summoning spell, and he's practically buzzing, hoping our hero can use it. The MC, however, knows summoning is a super rare class. Tomes like this aren't exactly found in the bargain bin at your local store. Not wanting to get one-upped, Mukyu swoops in with her own present, an equally rare Battle Mage skillbook. Only one problem: our hero doesn't have the stats to use either of these awesome skills yet. Right before school, he'd gone on a solo mission to a secret realm to grind some levels, only to get stonewalled by a 5-person entry requirement. The whole expedition was a massive bust, leaving him with 0 skill upgrades. Still, you don't turn down free epic loot. He accepts the books, but evens things out by trading them some high-tier experience potions. The instant Rui and Mukyu see what he's given them, their resolve to cling to our boy like superglue goes through the roof. Next up is Yue, who also brought a gift, though it's actually from Shu Wei, who brewed up a new concoction. Later, the MC gets home to find Duan pacing and looking anxious. Our hero had promised to put him through some intense training, but so far, it's been radio silence on the specifics. Our boy simply hands him Wei's potion, a rejuvenating elixir designed to mend old, nagging injuries. The instructions are simple: drink up, because, after that is done, the real hell begins. Duan chugs the potion and, in an instant, feels stronger than he has in years. With that, they dive headfirst into the training session. The MC takes one glance at Duan's form and immediately diagnoses the problems. His lung injury is still weak, so any move that strains it is off limits, and his skill combos are a total train wreck. Duan is blown away, but also a little creeped out by how easily our boy dissected his weaknesses. And then, the real trial by fire begins. Duan pushes himself past his breaking point, not because his life is on the line, but because the thought of letting our hero down feels a million times worse. He battles through endless waves of monsters, with barely a second to catch his breath. When he finally clears the last one, he immediately demands a harder difficulty, but Lan informs him that there are no higher levels. They've literally burned through all the available monster data. Model. With every last ounce of energy spent, Duan's legs finally give out, and he crumples to the ground, completely gassed. But through the crushing exhaustion, a wave of pure euphoria washes over him. Tears of absolute victory stream down his face. Old Feng, who's been watching from the sidelines, is just floored, and honestly, a little spooked. The idea that this mysterious hero could push a veteran adventurer like Duan to his absolute breaking point is just wild. Yeah, now more than ever, he knows he needs to stay on that guy's good side. His own hype levels start to skyrocket again, but before he gets lost in the moment, Lan brings up the astronomical cost of maintaining dark power. Old Feng mulls it over for a second before deciding to table that discussion for later. The #1 priority right now is getting Duan to the trial realm. Soon enough, Old Feng and Duan pull up to the Azure Guild. Waiting for them are Ying Jin and the other 7 guild leaders. Duan instantly knows these guys are the real deal. Even his own master could never manage to get all these top dogs in the same room at once. But for a world-shaking event like a divine manifestation, you bet they all showed up. And among them is Xu, who is sporting a look that says he'd rather be anywhere but here. He's in a seriously salty mood because Old Feng is gatekeeping every single piece of useful info. And to make it worse, the other shameless guild leaders are shamelessly exploiting his secret realm for their own gain. Right at the realm's entrance, Xu asks Duan if he's cool with live streaming the entire trial. Duan, totally unbothered, just gives him the green light. A phone gets propped up, and suddenly all 7 guild leaders are scrambling to get into the shot, all of them shamelessly jockeying for a little camera time. After all, the person on the other end of that stream is the mystery hero himself, and making a good impression on him is clearly their main quest right now. But at the same time, they're all sweating bullets, terrified they might accidentally do something to tick him off. Meanwhile, back at Duan's villa, our hero is just vibing. He's kicking back, watching TV, and munching on snacks when he realizes the stream on his phone has just gone live. Back inside the realm, the guild leaders are left completely dumbfounded as Duan breezes through the 30th, 40th, and then the 50th floor like it's a walk in the park. Then, smooth as anything, he one-shots the final boss, clears the trial, and snags himself the divine forbidden curse. The kicker? It's a first clear reward, meaning that prize is now permanently off the market for everyone else. Shu, naturally, is fuming. It's his realm, after all. Shouldn't the top-tier loot be locked to him? But before he can even start his rage rant, the system delivers the ultimate punchline. Duan's current profession isn't advanced enough to actually learn forbidden curses. So after all that insane effort, the OP reward is totally and completely bricked for him. Our MC recalls a detail from the Demon Lord's memories, that the professions in this world are still basically in their beta phase. People are strong, for sure, but they haven't unlocked their true potential yet. Duan's reward, unable to be learned, morphs into a divine emblem instead. Since his class falls into the strength category, his patron deity is a holy spirit, one of the 12 major gods. The system presents him with 3 potential upgrade paths. First, the martial spirit swordmaster, a warrior who channels chi into his blade. He fights with deadly precision, and, when pushed to the brink by a powerful foe, unlocks a whole new level of power. Total shonen protagonist power-up moment. Next up is the martial extreme battle saint, a brawler who doesn't need weapons, because his own fists and feet are literal weapons of mass destruction. And last, there's the martial arts immortal soldier, a fighter who has mastered every weapon imaginable, flawlessly adapts mid-combat, and can even copy his opponent's moves. Since Duan mains a short sword, he obviously goes for the martial spirit swordmaster. The second he locks in his choice, the divine emblem, a crystal of pure divine energy humming with the universe's core laws, begins to fuse with Duan as he soaks in its immense power. An insane beam of light blasts into the sky. The divine trial quest is marked complete, and just like that, the entire world levels up. System notifications absolutely spam the sky, and people everywhere immediately start recording, capturing what feels like a historic moment. Our boy sees the light show too, while Ying Jin and Old Feng's comms are blowing up with reports from every corner of the globe. When Duan finally steps out of the realm, Ying Jin immediately swoops in, trying to recruit him. But he's not the only one. The other guild leaders mob him, throwing their absolute best offers at his feet. Duan, however, shuts every single one of them down. Later, he gets back home and finally meets up with our hero. While they're chatting, the MC pulls out a sketch he drew of the divine emblem, wanting to get a better look at the details. Because a tiny phone screen just didn't do it justice, and that's when it dawns on him. It's the exact same emblem our boy had found before, the one he casually gifted to Duan without a second thought. Duan, for his part, immediately leaps to a staggering conclusion about our hero. He just handed over an artifact of this magnitude like it was nothing, making Duan feel like all his life or death struggles still don't even begin to compare. The MC, on the other hand, is too busy spiraling into a full-blown existential crisis. If he genuinely possesses some kind of divine power, it might explain how he just stumbled upon an emblem like that in a random dungeon. But a much, much heavier problem concerning the gods starts to weigh on his mind. With a staggering 12 potential god-level threats now on the radar, Duan unloads all the latest chaotic developments on our boy. It turns out, 7 major guilds are scrambling, desperately hunting for the trial's secret realms. Their single-minded goal is to snag the divine emblem. But our hero isn't sweating it, so long as he's the one pulling the strings of whoever actually clears the trial. In theory, the power will funnel right to him. Simple enough, right? Except there's a massive catch. If the person who conquers it is one of his enemies, the situation would spiral into an absolute catastrophe. But believe it or not, the divine emblem isn't even his main concern. The truly terrifying risk is something else entirely. Clearing the realm could potentially unleash forbidden spells. If that goes down, he'll immediately be on the gods' most wanted list, basically painting a giant bullseye on his own back. He now has to make damn sure that only his own crew finishes the trial. Duan then shifts the topic to Shiyu, who, as per their deal, was expecting his rightful piece of the prize pie. Seeing as Duan already fused with the divine emblem, he magnanimously offers up the rest of the treasure. Shiyu, however, is internally screaming. He's desperate to demand the divine emblem back, But tragically for him, that power move only happens in his head. Outwardly, he puts on a cool front, accepting the other loot. As the other guild leaders just stare, their jaws on the floor. Tucked away in his rewards, Shiyu discovers the recipe for the Forgotten Potion, a legendary concoction that can literally wipe a specific skill clean, freeing up the skill slot. And considering skill slots are rarer than a unicorn, this is an absolute game changer. Shiyu's mind immediately kicks into overdrive. Just like the experience potion, this thing could reshape the world. If he could monopolize them both, his guild could hoard all the top-tier players, leaving every other guild choking on his dust. He's already fantasizing about his untouchable guild running the entire server. But there's one tiny little obstacle. That obstacle's name is Duan. If he doesn't keep his lips sealed, this entire master plan could blow up in his face. So, Shiyu decides to play diplomat. He tries to invoke their contract to buy Duan's silence, even dangling some extra compensation to sweeten the deal. But before he can even lay out the whole offer, Duan casually reveals that he's already seen the potion's recipe in the hands of that mysterious hero. He's just making one thing crystal clear. This potion isn't his discovery. It belongs to the hero. Shiyu, naturally, flat out refuses to buy this tall tale. Their intel says, Trial Realm rewards don't just appear out of nowhere. They're one-of-a-kind artifacts with zero historical precedent. He figures Duan is just yanking his chain, but then Duan drops another bombshell. That legendary experience potion? It was also crafted by this enigmatic hero. Hearing this, Shiyu's whole confident facade just crumbles. The other leaders are equally gobsmacked, struggling to wrap their heads around the idea that some unknown player holds the keys to the Trial Realms' secrets. All the while, Old Feng is just watching this entire drama unfold, with a look of pure, unadulterated amusement, snickering to himself. Yingzhen, completely fed up, snaps at him, demanding to know what's so funny, but Old Feng is just soaking it all in. He's in on a secret the others aren't. Our hero, the guy who casually tossed multiple bottles of these potions to Rui and Mukyu, never saw them as a big deal, and yet, here are all these guildmasters acting like they're the Holy Grail. At the very least, getting Rui transferred into his school is a definite win. As Duan and Old Feng are leaving, the old man's tone suddenly turns serious, bringing up the delicate issue of his own body, which is being eaten away by dark magic, literally crumbling from the inside out. He cautiously asks if the mysterious hero might have any more of those miracle brews that could possibly help him. Duan gives his word he'll ask. Later, back home, Duan relays Old Feng's desperate plea to our MC, and apologizes for promising anything without asking first. But our boy isn't even a little mad. He's more than willing to help Old Feng. There's just one tiny snag. He has absolutely no idea if the nourishing potion will even have an effect on him. The MC puts Duan on the case, find a moment to track down Old Feng, and give him a few nourishing potions to test out. Duan jets straight to Old Feng's office, but he's greeted by Lan, who tells him the old man already took off for a high-stakes meeting at the bureau. So, Duan just passes the potions to Lan, trusting her to make the delivery. Afterward, Lan swings by Rui's place. She rings the bell, but gets nothing but silence. Thinking he's probably just out, she plans to circle back later, completely oblivious to the seriously creepy scene unfolding inside. Rui is pinned down, surrounded by a shadowy entity that will not stop whispering. It's a non-stop barrage, urging him to surrender to its dark influence, claiming it's the one and only path to saving his grandfather. But Rui is having none of it, refusing to give in to whatever twisted sales pitch this creature is peddling. But the darkness fights dirty, twisting the knife by hammering on his greatest fear, his grandfather's rapidly approaching death. Cut to the schoolyard, where our hero bumps into Rui, who looks like he just crawled out of a nightmare. He tries to lighten the mood, suggesting a game to help Rui get his head straight. Rui, however, turns him down, saying his grandfather has forbidden him from playing at school. So our hero pivots, proposing they all hang out and play some other time. That's when Rui gets a faraway look, and starts to share a story from his childhood. After his parents were killed in action, a young Rui went into total lockdown, barricading himself in his room and ghosting the entire world. Old Feng, who is not the warm and fuzzy type, was completely clueless about how to reach him, but he still went and secretly grinded video games, all for a shot at connecting with the kid. And that's something Rui never forgot. For a dude who's basically allergic to feelings, Old Feng had his own backwards way of proving he cared. Cut to the present. Old Feng is in a tense bureau meeting, and the intel being dropped is absolutely grim. The focus of the briefing? Two names, Pang Hao and Guo Ying. First up is Pang Hao, a 3 to 4 star powerhouse who got locked up 8 years ago after going ballistic and critically wounding several people inside a secret realm. He was slapped with a 15-year sentence, but a few years back, he just pulled a Houdini and vanished right out of his cell. Then there's Guo Ying, who has his own sketchy track record. He was a mutant on their watch list before completely falling off the map 5 years ago. Well, these two charming individuals just resurfaced in Peng, his hometown, where they celebrated their return with a brutal killing spree. They annihilated 2 adventurers and their entire families. And the craziest part? The victims were the exact same agents who nabbed Peng Hao all those years ago. Talk about a grudge. But here's the thing that's not adding up. Those adventurers were supposed to be leagues more powerful than these two. Yet, when the attack happened, they apparently put up almost no resistance at all. One of the higher-ups immediately calls Cap, asking why these elite fighters would just stand by and watch their families get massacred. Then, someone cues up the surveillance footage, and the entire vibe in the room shifts. The playback shows one of the adventurers trying to make a move, but he gets absolutely dismantled in less than a second. A heavy silence blankets the room. According to their files, Peng Hao and Guo Ying shouldn't have this kind of power. But what they just saw on that screen screams otherwise. It's clear these two haven't just returned, they've had a serious glow-up. And the terrifying implication is that they might now be powerful enough to take on Old Feng, a thought that freezes the blood in their veins. Meanwhile, over at his residence, Jiao is impatiently waiting for the arrival of Peng Hao and Guo Ying. The second they walk through the door, he's demanding to know if they found his son. Peng Hao delivers the news. They found no trace of him. However, he did pick up on an immensely powerful dark aura. Peng Hao explains that low-tier favored ones can't just casually wield dark power. To do that, they need a direct blessing from a demon lord. Think of that unlucky dude who suddenly croaked back in Qingyu City. But for the real MVPs, the top-tier favored ones like them, it's not just some simple blessing and a hit of dark energy. Nah, they get a direct summons from the demon lord, get teleported to some secret dimension, and are forced into an intense, isolated training regimen to max out their stats. To Peng Hao, this all points to one thing. Chung was likely headhunted by a demon lord and is now going through that exact, brutal training. This isn't a total shock to Zhao. He already knew his son, Chung, was dabbling in some strange rituals. He just never dreamed it would escalate to this level. Peng Hao admits he can't be certain the rituals are directly connected to Chung's vanishing act. But after investigating the hidden room where Chung performed his sacrifices, one thing became undeniable. This was no amateur hour. The execution of the ritual was textbook perfect. As long as Chung kept the sacrifices coming, his natural talent was more than enough to get noticed by a demon lord. Hearing this, Zhao can barely keep his excitement in check. If Chung actually pulls this off, the Wang group might as well just pack their bags and skip town, because they'll be toast. Peng Hao then gives Zhao an address, telling him to send a car there after dinner for a very important meeting. With their business handled, Peng Hao and Guo Ying make a house call to Rui's apartment. Rui has zero idea who these dudes are, but he doesn't need an introduction to feel the menacing aura rolling off them in waves. Peng Hao, however, carries himself as if Rui should be honored by their presence. He wastes no time explaining they're there representing their master, the same dark entity that made a play for Rui just last night. Rui doesn't hesitate for a second. His armor instantly forms around him, and he's ready for a fight. But the speed difference is insane. Before Rui can even make a move, Peng Hao is on him, his hand clamped firmly around Rui's face. His mission is simple. He's here to make Rui accept their master's power, preferably without using what little brain cells he has. So let's be real. Rui isn't known for his critical thinking. Still, trying to persuade him would be a drag. Just then, Guo Ying, who'd been scouting the apartment, reports back. Old Feng isn't around. Peng Hao mentions he was hoping to pay the old man a little visit, an idea Rui immediately shuts down. There is absolutely no way he's letting these thugs get anywhere near his grandfather. Finally, Peng Hao releases him, but not without dropping a heavy ultimatum. Rui has just 3 days to make his decision. And if he dares to say no, well, let's just say Old Feng's retirement plan is about to get violently cancelled. Meanwhile, our boy is out in the wilderness, getting some reps in by thrashing low-level monsters. He hasn't been able to find a decent spot to grind XP lately, so instead of chasing major power-ups, he's just been farming combat experience the old-fashioned way. His quest log is still packed, and the system is practically screaming at him to go raid some local secret realms. He's just finished wrecking another monster when his phone buzzes. It's Duan, and he sounds kinda nervous on the other end. He finally spits it out. Old Feng is desperate to become our mysterious hero's disciple. After the call, MC swings by the hospital to see how Rui's doing. Rui swears he's fine, but his dark power is throwing an absolute fit, so he's on lockdown for a couple more days. The guy is in a specialized ward just for variants, and our hero, who's never seen one up close, is low-key impressed. Meanwhile, outside, Old Feng is in a crisis talk with Duan about Peng Hao and Guo Ying. He's made up his mind. They need to call in the big guns, our mysterious hero, as their last-ditch effort to solve this. And thankfully, our boy agrees to help, but he's not doing it for free. Duan lays down the law. This is not some official master-student deal. Our hero isn't looking to recruit anyone. He just wants a solid excuse to train someone up, while making sure these villains don't just get away with everything. He also demands a private training spot, nothing massive, nothing bougie, just a space where they can go all out in some intense one-on-one sparring sessions. Old Fang, of course, is on board instantly. He'll do anything to get that kind of firepower on his team. But before they can hash out the specifics, a massive crash erupts from Rui's room. They bolt inside only to find the absolute worst-case scenario, Peng Ho and Guo Ying, just standing there. These clowns have the nerve to claim they're there to apologize for roughing up Rui, holding a pathetic-looking fruit basket. Old Fang, however, isn't buying their act for a second. The rage is practically radiating off him. If looks could kill, Peng Ho and Guo Ying would be nothing but a pile of ash. Old Fang doesn't even grace him with a response when Peng Ho asks if he's actually trying to throw down with them. Peng Ho and Guo Ying finally decide to bounce, but not before they remind Rui he has exactly 2 days to make up his mind. On the way out, Ying pulls the ultimate petty move and spits right on Duan's chest, before finally storming out. Old Fang is super apologetic to Duan, while our guy seems way more invested in the fruit basket than the insane drama that just went down. Later that night, Peng Ho and Guo Ying are chilling with Zhou and some girls, drinks in hand. When the convo turns to how hot Yua is, Zhou basically tells Peng Ho he should just go for it and claim her. But before Peng Ho can even respond, boom, a massive explosion rocks the entire building, and in walk Rui and Duan. Duan immediately orders everyone to get lost except for Peng Ho and Guo Ying. Peng Ho, though, he just casually sips his wine, looking completely unbothered, like this is just some minor inconvenience. Guo Ying, however, lunges straight for Duan, weapon drawn. Duan parries the attack, instantly feeling the insane power behind it. If it wasn't for our hero's brutal training regimen, Duan would already be 6 feet under. But here he is, still in the fight. Guo Ying realizes that with Duan keeping him busy, the MC has a wide-open shot. But before he can fully process the danger, he hears a faint, rhythmic crunching. He glances over and sees our hero, looking bored out of his mind, just munching on a bag of chips and watching the brawl, like it's the season finale of his favorite show. This sends Guo Ying into a blind rage. Duan seizes the moment, landing a solid punch to get his attention back. Ying staggers back before absolutely losing it, going berserk and charging at Duan. Their weapons collide in a shower of sparks, while the girls who were giggling a minute ago are now frozen in terror. Meanwhile, Peng Ho starts stalking toward our MC, radiating pure menace. But our boy is completely zoned out, enjoying some dried seeds, totally unconcerned. Peng Ho swings his massive sword right at him, and our hero blocks it like it's nothing. So, Peng Ho decides to transform, thinking he can scare the MC, only to see him calmly upgrade his own sword for a deadlier counterattack. That's when it finally clicks for Peng Ho. This dude is not a rookie. Before he can even blink, the floor beneath him shatters, and a colossal thorn erupts from the ground. He narrowly dodges it, only for another attack to come flying straight for his face, forcing him onto the defensive. At first, he'd just written our hero off as some newbie who caught a few lucky breaks, but now every single one of his instincts is screaming danger. Their blades clash again, and Peng Ho realizes our boy isn't just holding his own, he's actually getting stronger with every blow. The cold, hard reality of the situation crashes down on him, and he knows trying to fight this guy was a massive mistake, so he tries to call a timeout, suggesting they talk it out. Our MC, however, shuts that down immediately. Oh, somebody's definitely dying tonight, and it's going to be Peng Ho. And just to be crystal clear, not a single hair on our hero's head will be touched. That raw confidence is enough to make Peng Ho see red. He completely loses his cool, warning our hero not to get cocky, because in his master's eyes, our guy is less than an insect. That gets our boy's attention. He demands to know who this supposedly all-powerful master is. Peng Ho puffs out his chest like the world's proudest minion and starts bragging about some epic demon lord, a guy who apparently gets his kicks from murdering the rulers of secret realms and collecting their bodies like they're Funko Pops. The look on our MC's face turns deadly serious. Alright, now he absolutely has to know this guy's name. Meanwhile, Lon and the crew are posted up outside the Joe Company building as she gives them the play-by-play on the absolute mayhem going down upstairs. A brutal brawl erupts between Peng Hu and Gu Ying. Old Feng taps into his scrying magic for a front row seat, and let me tell you, the show is absolutely insane. Peng Hu finds himself getting completely owned by a masked fighter who rips off his disguise to reveal he's our boy. Our hero is just effortlessly styling on him, using his skills to keep Peng Hu completely locked down. But then, something snaps in Peng Hu. He unleashes his terrifying true form and just straight up inhales our MC. While that's going down, Duan and Gu Ying are locked in their own lethal dance. Ying starts running his mouth, taunting Duan for not even flinching about his boss getting eaten, but Duan's reply is ice cold. He's not even worthy of worrying about his master. He's done talking. He lunges forward, sinking his blade deep into Ying's chest. On the other side of the room, Xiao is having an absolute blast, totally mesmerized by Peng Hu's monstrous power. The girls beside him, however, are living a nightmare. They're desperately crammed under a sofa, probably rethinking every single choice that brought them to this moment. But their little hiding spot is useless. Peng Hu spots Xiao, and in a single, fluid movement, slices the dude clean in half. Still not satisfied, Peng Hu is ready for more carnage, but then he detects Old Feng's scrying spell, gets pissed, and shatters the magical connection. His smirk of victory vanishes as his own body violently detonates from the inside out. And strolling out of the bloody mist without a scratch is our hero. Gu Ying is frozen in shock, giving Duan the only opening he needs. His blade plunges true. Seeing their chance, the girls don't hesitate for a second and sprint for their lives. But our boy isn't about to let Ying bleed out. Not yet. He's got questions that demand answers. Meanwhile, far away, in a hidden valley, a panicked minion scrambles to his master, babbling about an intruder. The demon lord, cool as ever, simply orders a full retreat. He knows exactly who the enemy is hunting. His followers, though loyal, are just cannon fodder. He needs something with more kick, something more resilient, something that won't just pop. Humans, he muses, they're always getting stronger. With the right sacrifices, they could supercharge his own power. As he plots his next move, he plucks a skull from his armor, placing it on his head like a trophy, remembering the thrill of past conquests. He wasn't born this powerful. A long time ago, he was just some no-name demon. Then fate, or just blind luck, led him to the corpse of an ancient demon lord, and that's when his life got a massive upgrade. Unimaginable power coursed through him as grand strategies formed in his mind. One by one, he turned his enemies into decorations for his armor, and now he's itching to start a new collection. Too bad the universe has different plans. Before he can even launch into his epic villain speech, the sky screams. A colossal bolt of lightning smashes down from the heavens, flash frying him on the spot. Elsewhere, our MC, the one who just dropped that lightning storm, is wandering through the fog and complaining about the monster shortage. That's when a system alert pops, forbidden dark spell detected. He follows the system's guidance and finds the extra crispy remains of the demon lord. And clutched in its dead hand is a relic thrumming with dark energy. He immediately starts absorbing its essence, watching as his level blows past 40 and his stats basically hit the ceiling. But then he notices an even juicier drop. It's a skill book for summoning a dark gate, a totally forbidden spell. Our boy's reaction? Bet. This busted skill lets him either call forth an entire army of shadow creatures for a solid half day, or summon a high-level demon lord as a permanent companion. An offer that good is impossible to refuse, so he decides to test it out right then and there. Back with Old Feng, Duan is giving a debrief on the Peng Hu and Gu Ying situation, confirming they've been successfully neutralized. Old Feng is grateful, and Lan is just massively relieved that, for once, the higher-ups listened to Old Feng. Their trust in the new hero helped shut down the paranoid conspiracy nuts. If they hadn't, Peng Hu and Gu Ying would have undoubtedly turned the city into a crater. Old Feng then passes Duan a file for the training base our hero wanted. Apparently, the entire country rolled out the red carpet, offering up its most elite national facilities, fully equipped, totally private, and most importantly, guaranteed to have zero unwanted visitors. Duan knows the final choice of which kingdom to claim belongs to his boss. When they pull up to the base, our hero is stunned by the sheer scale of the compound. Duan lists off the features: training grounds, offices, recreation centers, and living quarters big enough for 2,000 people. A bit later, they meet Old Feng to make it all official. Duan is firm that he and the MC are running the show here, because the hero has zero time for pointless bureaucracy. Old Feng brings up creating a guild, but Duan wants to know if there's a way to get intel without all that hassle. Old Feng reveals a special direct channel through the bureau, a pipeline for all the classified information that stays under lock and key. Sure, the most crucial intel is now within his grasp, which is convenient, but our hero's already planning to build his own information network from scratch. After all, relying on a single source is a total rookie move, and the guild? Yeah, that's a hard pass. Too much bureaucratic nonsense. Instead, he's going to run this new base his own way. With the contract signed, they finally bounce from the office. On the way out the door, Duan casually mentions that our hero's special training session is officially on the books for next week. Before Old Feng can even react, his phone starts vibrating. The caller frantically reports a new wave of mysterious disappearances, eerily similar to what happened with Peng Hai and Gu Ying. After that unsettling call, Old Feng finally drags himself home, only to walk in on Rui packing his bags. Rui drops a bombshell. He's heading off to an exclusive special training in just 2 days, an opportunity our boy personally set up for him. It's a squad of 5, including him. Old Fang gets so unbelievably hyped that his head literally starts crackling with electricity again. Rui starts to panic. The old man just brushes it off, promising it's nothing, and claiming the hero's miracle potion has him all fixed up. Even so, Old Feng helps him finish packing before switching into full-on dad mode, delivering an epic lecture on minding his manners, listening to the MC's every word, and not squandering this incredible, once-in-a-lifetime chance. The following morning, the chosen group gathers at the training base. Rui, Yue, Jiangsu, Ting, and Wei. As they're all gawking at the mind-blowing facility, Yue gives our boy a suspicious side-eye, asking how the heck he managed to get them into a place like this. Our hero just plays it cool, offering a vague story about borrowing it from some old family connection. Yue, however, isn't buying it for a second. She's become convinced that ever since his awakening, he's been secretly hoarding powerful secrets. The MC then introduces them to Duan, the man who will be overseeing their training. Jiangshu immediately notices that Rui looks incredibly stiff and on edge around him. When asked, Rui confesses that Duan was the mastermind behind the recent mayhem in the trial realm, that little incident that sent shockwaves across the entire world. As they set foot on the training field, Duan can instantly sense that this group's determination has leveled up significantly. Our hero, meanwhile, is watching from above, not even slightly stressed about his forbidden spells being revealed. Why? Because his cover story is already locked and loaded. He'll just chalk it all up to a training room effect. Besides, he's got much bigger things cooking, like assembling his own powerful alliance. The training session ignites, and Yue is immediately slammed by an oppressive force that nearly buckles her knees. The others are barely holding on themselves, but they're all fired up, ready to grind through the pain. After an absolutely brutal day of conditioning, every single one of them looks ready to hit the floor from sheer exhaustion. Duan shows a sliver of mercy, finally announcing they're done for the day. But just when they think they can finally catch their breath, he hits them with the real news. Starting tomorrow, the intense, focused training begins. Later, they all gather for dinner, and Yue reflects on how the training, as punishing as it was, exposed all her weaknesses and helped her gain a level of strength that would have normally taken years to build. Rui, on the other hand, is still trying to process the dark power surging within him. He pushed himself to his absolute limit, but somehow, that terrifying energy never spiraled out of his control. Ting, however, just sits there at the table, looking like a completely wilted flower. Yue explains that both she and Jia Sheng have been buried under an insane amount of pressure lately. Their school has extremely limited slots for the training camp, and the internet, as always, has devolved into a dumpster fire of doubt. Our boy pulls up the forums and sees countless people questioning why Ting and Jia Sheng, two supposedly average students, managed to snag spots on the roster. Yet, amidst the sea of haters, one person is fiercely shutting down every negative comment. This solitary champion turns out to be Muku, who's out there fighting the good fight against all the anonymous keyboard warriors. Ting wants absolutely nothing to do with the online negativity. She confesses she was terrified at first, but after surviving that day's hellish training, her fear is gone. Our hero promises to hook her up with some gifts and tells her to just focus on leveling up instead of the internet trolls. Later that night, while the rest of the team is getting some much-needed sleep, our MC finds himself lost in some seriously heavy thoughts. The Demon Lord's memories have revealed a staggering truth about the so-called evil gods. Apparently, there are 7 of them, beings literally born from dark power and worshipped by the monstrous creatures of the secret realm. But the biggest shock of all is that our boy isn't one of them. No, he was once a member of the 12 main gods, a prestigious being known as the omnipotent Archmage. Eons ago, these 12 gods waged a colossal war against the 7 true evil gods, utterly annihilating them and preventing a cataclysmic invasion. But afterward, the Archmage became fascinated with dark power. Inevitably, he lost control, and the other gods branded him a threat that needed to be erased. Outnumbered and knowing he couldn't win, the Archmage was forced to flee, getting himself slapped with the label of evil god for all eternity. But, naturally, the dark demons have a slightly different spin on that piece of history. According to their lore, after the Great War was over, mortals started getting a little too smart, questioning the divine script instead of just following it. And the gods? They were not happy about it. Their whole power trip ran on that blind faith, you see. So, to keep the mortals on a leash, and for their own sick amusement, they ignited a world-spanning war, pitting believer against believer in what they called sacred battles. A total sham. They even unleashed the shadow creatures, giving them a free pass to cause absolute chaos. This chaos spawned the very first secret realm. But the Archmage? Yeah, he wasn't about that life. He wanted zero part in this divine reality TV drama, at least, until the pointless war slaughtered his own people. They were ambushed, caught completely off guard. Most didn't stand a chance. That's when the Archmage, burning with fury, confronted the gods directly, demanding they shut down this insane circus. Their response? They laughed, straight up clowned him to his face, and the once peaceful Archmage finally broke. He went on a rampage. A few gods were erased. Some of the top-tier deities got absolutely bodied. And just like that, the hunter became the hunted. He vanished without a trace, becoming nothing more than a ghost story, a whispered legend. Of course, the gods couldn't just take the L. They launched a massive smear campaign, painting the Archmage as the ultimate villain. Then they tore the world apart, searching for him. Our boy finds this ancient drama absolutely epic, but that's where the Demon Lord's memory log cuts off. What really happened to the Archmage is still a massive question mark. So, he decides to focus on what matters, the grind. The very next day, he dips into another hidden, off-the-books dungeon. Using some primo intel from the adventurer admin's database, he immediately starts mowing down mobs, and because they're low-level fodder, the XP starts stacking like crazy. Before long, he's face-to-face with the dungeon boss. The fight's going perfectly, and then it happens. His sword decides to just quit. It shatters into a million pieces mid-swing. Turns out, he's not high-level enough to rock an indestructible weapon, and his current gear is basically starter pack trash, especially compared to the loot 4th or 5th transition adventurers are flexing. He seriously didn't think his blade would peace out after just a few intense battles, but here we are. The boss actually has the nerve to smirk at him, but our MC? He ain't got time for that. He chucks the busted hilt and just obliterates the boss with a raw magic blast instead. And boom, he levels up, for sure, but let's be real. That little XP bump doesn't heal the heartbreak of losing his sword. The silver lining? He unlocks another totally broken forbidden skill. A swirling vortex of dark energy that literally eats light. Sounds OP, but he knows you can't just spam your ultimate moves. A flashy finisher is cool and all, but having a reliable weapon is kinda non-negotiable. So, it's time for a shopping montage. He hits up the trading center and starts bawling out, snagging a whole arsenal of high-grade swords. His guide, Gao, looks like she's about to have a full-on meltdown. Right as she's trying to process his insane spending, an assistant shows up talking about another VIP guest. The problem? Both our hero and this new guy are flexing the ultra-exclusive black card, and this so-called noble is none other than Yunjo, who clocks the MC immediately. Our boy, though, he's drawing a total blank. It takes a second before he finally places the name. After Yunjo formally introduces himself, we find out Yunjo has actually tried to background check our hero before, but every single lead went cold. It was like someone was digitally scrubbing his entire existence from the world. Even an internet search came up with nothing. If his ridiculously powerful family, with all their resources, couldn't find a single shred of info, then one thing becomes crystal clear. This dude is no random scrub. And that fact is seriously messing with Yunjo's head. Our boy just gestures to the swords he's buying, and casually asks Yunjo if he wants one. But Yunjo wouldn't even dream of it. Not in a million years. This whole scene leaves the onlookers totally speechless. Because I mean, this is Yunjo, the guy ranked number 2 on the national supernova list. And here he is, basically bowing down to a complete unknown. Yunjo, needing to blow off some steam, makes a quick exit. He ducks into the restroom, whips out his phone, and posts on a forum, demanding someone investigate our hero. But then, Mukyu himself hops in the thread and tells him to stop spreading baseless rumors. This just makes Yunjo rage even harder. So, if he can't get any dirt on the MC, he'll just crush him the old-fashioned way. His new mission, find a trial secret realm. Meanwhile, our boy is completely oblivious to the drama Yunjo is cooking up. He just wraps up his shopping spree and heads straight to another secret realm, grinding mobs until he dings level 60. His second transformation is literally just around the corner. But first, he stumbles upon a creepy altar. This place has some seriously dark history. The monsters here used to worship a whole pantheon of evil gods. That is, until the 12 main gods came in and absolutely steamrolled them, forcing the survivors to spend eternity trying to resurrect 7 of their fallen masters. A couple of the more ambitious monsters even schemed about ascending to godhood themselves. Not that our MC gives a crap. To him, the so-called main gods are just as bad. And the monsters? They were a total joke. The so-called gods weren't protectors. They were cosmic bullies who saw humanity as their personal reality TV show. If that was the reality, then maybe the legend whispered among monsters about an all-powerful archmage wasn't just a fantasy after all. At this point, gods and monsters were just two sides of the same worthless coin. And right on cue, his phone vibrates a text from Shu Wei. Cut to the training base, where Ting and Jia Shang are getting into everything in Wei's lab. Ting snatches a potion, about to chug it down, when Wei dives in, stopping her just in the nick of time. That little vial? It was a skill-erasing concoction, and Wei had literally just finished brewing it. Our MC rolls up moments later, completely oblivious to the near disaster, and casually drops 4 skill books on them as gifts. He needs the whole squad to master their new abilities, before the training camp kicks off. As they head toward the training room, they run smack into Old Feng and Duan for Yue. For Ting and Wei, it's their first encounter with the old-timer, and they can instantly feel the vibe this guy is a certified big shot. Old Feng is itching to know about Rui's progress, and asks our boy for a status update. But instead of just telling him, our hero smirks and suggests he witness it firsthand. The training session ignites. Each member of the crew starts unleashing hell on practice monsters, flexing their brand new skills. Old Feng watches from the sidelines, absolutely floored, but also low-key confused. Their moves don't look standard issue. In fact, they're way too polished for a bunch of newbies. The MC explains they're just breaking in some high-quality orange skills, which, by the way, are so legendary that top officials would trade their firstborn to get a single one. Now, Old Feng is completely captivated. This is massive, and he knows he has to share this intel. With the practice session wrapped, our boy makes a beeline for the class change room, where he bumps into Lan. The moment she sees him, her eyes go wide. She knows exactly why he's there, for his second awakening. Our hero steps into the chamber and gets hit with a quest. Dive into the secret realm of a treacherous ice field and claim the element emblem. As a side hustle, he also has to farm 20 transformation stones and around 100 soul essences. To put that in perspective, a normal second awakening requires just 1 transformation stone, and even that is a nightmare to find. These things don't drop from mobs, they're painstakingly mined from rare crystal veins, and the yield is absolutely abysmal. His first stop is the trading center, but the second he arrives, Master Tang hits him with some bad news. There's been a massive surge in players advancing their jobs, and the supply of transformation stones has been completely wiped out. Still, Tang assures him he can pull some strings and have the stones ready in 3 days. Not one to waste time, the MC decides to go after the emblem first. To maximize his efficiency, he also puts in a bulk order for the soul essences, and since he's already there, he figures he might as well clear his inventory. Of all the loot he hasn't had a chance to sort, Tang is expecting the usual vendor trash, but the second our boy starts unpacking the goods, the entire mood in the room shifts. This is no ordinary haul. In that instant, Tang finally understands why Mayor Dongming was so adamant about treating our hero like absolute royalty. The MC makes it to the ice field's secret realm but gets stonewalled by a guard who tells him to wait while he radios the captain. After hearing the request, the captain immediately shuts it down, refusing to let him enter solo. Hey, rules are rules. But then the guard flashes a special credential, one issued by the highest levels of the administration exclusively for our hero, granting him permission for solo entry. The captain, forced to eat his words, reluctantly gives our boy the all clear, but he can't shake the feeling. Who the hell is this guy? The guard speculates that he might be a high-level inspector, sending the captain into a full-blown panic as he orders everyone to be on their absolute best behavior. Our hero, on the other hand, just breathes a sigh of relief, thankful that he had the foresight to bring this up with Old Feng and get the pass made in advance. For once, his future self isn't going to suffer because of his past self's procrastination. With that headache sorted, he steps into the realm. The world inside is a breathtakingly vast and majestic frozen wasteland. He's just soaking in the scenery when he catches movement out of the corner of his eye. A hidden boss materializes. Our boy braces for a fight, but before he can even make a move, the knight-like figure freezes in place and calls him Lord God. The MC is completely stunned, but the knight insists that our hero is his almighty master, his Lord God, and introduces himself as Grand Mage Han Yin, a devoted follower. Our boy is desperately trying to wrap his head around this. He figures maybe his outfit just looks like some evil gods, and this is all one giant, awkward misunderstanding. But Han Yin's real story is far more dramatic. He reveals that he and his fellow believers were ambushed and slaughtered, and the next thing he knew, he woke up in this icy hell. Ever since, dark whispers have been clawing at the edges of his mind, driving him to the brink of insanity with an uncontrollable lust for violence. But the instant he saw the MC, the voices just stopped. He was saved. Our hero pieces all this together, connecting the dots with everything he knows about the historic attack on the Archmage's followers. It's highly probable that Lord God is the actual title for the omnipotent Archmage. Han Yin, meanwhile, Yin is 100% convinced our boy is here for a heroic rescue, but our MC is just watching this whole misunderstanding snowball into an avalanche. So he shatters that fantasy real quick, explaining he's not some divine savior. Nah, he's just a student who's literally on a mission to eliminate Yin. Yin's brain just blue screens for a solid minute, processing this new data dump. And after all that, he comes up with a theory that's even more unhinged. He decides our hero is here to deliver a sweet, merciful release from his suffering. Our boy's face is just a big question mark, which only convinces Yin he's dealing with a case of divine amnesia. Still, the vibe check is off. If this guy isn't the big guy himself, he's definitely gotta be, like, his right-hand man. The Archmage? Maybe? And boom, he totally nailed it. Our hero is laser-focused on snagging the elemental emblem, but before he sends Han Yin to the Shadow Realm, he has to be sure that icing Yin is the only way to secure the artifact. And plot twist. Yin's reaction is a massive shrug. He reassures our guy that if getting clapped is what it takes, there'll be zero hard feelings. Honestly, it might even be a massive relief. But before the final curtain call, he just wants to vibe with our hero for a little while longer. So, the MC gets him to spill the tea about the good old days. Yin launches into this whole nostalgic story about how the Archmage used to casually drop into the mortal realm, rocking a human disguise just to hang. And get this, everyone knew exactly who he was, but they all just played it cool, pretending he was a regular dude, because they genuinely dug his whole vibe. Then the convo flips, and Yin asks about our MC's life, and our boy makes his daily grind sound like an epic quest, hitting the books, grinding XP, and dominating in video games. He even offers to give Yin a full-on gaming tutorial before the massive brain fart moment hits him. There's literally no internet here. After their chat, Yin seems completely satisfied. He raises his hand, basically giving our hero the green light to finish the job. The MC makes his move, but not in the way anyone expects. He finally caves, making a pact that one day, they'll squat up and game together for real. Cut to the guild leaders meeting, where the vibe is anything but chill. The hot topic on the table? Insanely powerful skills hidden away in secret realms. Yanchuan drops a truth bomb. They're nowhere near leveled up enough to tackle that. So Joe floats an idea, why not hire that mystery hero everyone's been talking about? But Old Feng? He torpedoes that idea instantly. The hero wants zero to do with their drama. This whole situation is screaming sus to Joe, but Old Feng couldn't care less. He basically tells Joe he can do what he wants, but only after he retires, which is happening any day now. And that's when Old Feng's patience completely evaporates. He unleashes, reminding them that when Peng Hao and Guo Ying were breathing down his family's necks, nobody had his back except the hero and Duan. But now that there's a massive prize up for grabs, suddenly, everyone's his best friend. He lays it out, crystal clear. The hero doesn't owe them a single thing. Changing the subject, Yingjin pipes up with something new. He's heard whispers that Old Feng is gearing up for some high-tier dungeon raids, and he wants a piece of the action. Linghua and Yanchuan immediately jump on that bandwagon too. Old Feng, having personally survived the hero's absolute nightmare of a training regimen, knows it's pure agony, but he also knows it gets results. Meanwhile, Yingjin is practically trying to read Old Feng's soul, scrutinizing his every micro-expression for a hint of some hidden agenda. Cut to the profession changing room, where our boy just locked in his class upgrade. And with it, he unlocks a game-changing new skill, a cloaking barrier that makes him completely immune to any and all detection abilities. And if nothing else, one massive truth clicks into place. The all-powerful Archmage wasn't some cosmic villain. He was just a dude who wanted to live on his own terms exactly like our MC. But the puzzle is far from solved. The true link between the system and the Archmage remains a total enigma. And don't even get started on why Yin morphed into a secret realm's hidden boss. The only breadcrumb our hero has to follow is Yin's pendant. Turns out, Yin's soul never faded like it was supposed to. Some kind of divine protection anchored it, tethering it to that very pendant. The scene shifts to the Supernova training camp, an elite battleground split into two divisions, one for high school prodigies and another for college legends, and it's where the nation's most brilliant young adventurers collide. And it's not just the deans of top universities showing up to scout talent. The heavy hitters from the 7 major guilds, and even the Adventurers Administration are in the house, causing all the students to practically fall over themselves, trying to score some brownie points. And leading the pack is Shi Qisheng, the undisputed #1 on the supernova list, and Xiu's brother. He strides up to the VIPs with total confidence, but just as he does, a bus pulls up to the curb, carrying the delegation from Chinyu School. The instant our MC and his crew step off that bus, the air crackles with whispers and side-eyes. Immediately, our boy's system interface lights up, spamming notifications about one block detection attempt after another, as if half the camp is trying to scan him like a product at checkout. Zhou, Xiu, and Linghua are in the crowd, completely baffled, because they can't get a single read on his level. And you can bet Shi Qixyang is just as intrigued. It's not just that our guy showed up and instantly became the main character. It's that Shi Qi-sheng has been obsessively replaying Duan's Secret Realm combat footage, even running countless simulations of the fight. He threw his guild's top-tier players at it, and not a single one could replicate Duan's raw power. If our MC is even in the same league as that, then their training method has to be some kind of legendary cheat code. And of course, Shi Qishong and Shi, you are dying to know the secret. After the standard team signups, everyone shuffles into the main hall for the inevitable, agonizingly long speeches. Halfway through one, Principal Zhang gets antsy. He's desperate to know why the MC is blocking everyone from reading his level. But Principal Fang just plays it cool with a smirk. Ever since Mukyu transferred over, Zhang's been snooping around trying to get the scoop, like he's trying to break a huge story. But thanks to Fang's lockdown-level security, he's come up with nothing every single time. So now Zhang's trying a new tactic, pointing out that all eyes are on them, with rival schools dying to see what makes Qinyu's squad so special. Fang, on the other hand, is aware that Duan and the crew have been on some kind of secret training arc, but he has zero idea just how much they've leveled up. He's not worried about his star players like Duan, Ruowei, or Mukyu, since they're already sitting at the top of the leaderboards. His real anxiety is whether our hero and the rest of the team can even make it through this competition in one piece. Up on stage, the instructor begins to break down the rules of the camp for all the assembled students. The core concept? It's all about squad synergy, where 5-person teams will be duking it out for both individual glory and team-wide points. And for anyone who cracks the top 10 in the high school bracket, they'll earn the insane opportunity to train alongside the University Titans. But first, there's a little warm-up, a special secret realm assessment. The only ticket in is to be at or below the 3rd transformation level. And just to show these rookies how massively outclassed they are, a demonstration match kicks off, starring a lineup of former top-ranked supernovas. These absolute legends step into the secret realm and proceed to clear it like they're taking out the trash. The other students can only stare, completely dumbfounded. Among that elite squad is Shi Qishong. Old Feng, the lone high schooler of the bunch, realizes that with a bit of proper training, these kids could be storming top-tier secret realms in no time. This elite squad doesn't just pass the realm, they absolutely annihilate it, setting a brand new record while making the whole thing look like a cakewalk. The crowd is absolutely buzzing, but while they're still trying to process the absolute beatdown they just witnessed, our hero is suddenly face-to-face with Kai Yu-chen, Dongming's niece and a top 5 player from that very same record-shattering team. She's only there because her uncle has been hyping up our MC non-stop the second she started talking with him. Instantly, everyone's curiosity skyrockets. Yu-chen extends an offer of help if his squad ever finds themselves in a tight spot. Right after, one of her teammates suggests they pack it in for the day, but one look at Yu-chen tells you she's not going anywhere. Shikshung decides to stick around too, which pretty much forces the rest of their squad to hang back with them. Then, the assessment finally kicks off as 6 teams plunge into the secret realm, but it's not long before the principals start complaining. They're freaking out over how ridiculously hard the challenge is as they watch their students get absolutely steamrolled by monsters. Ever since Shiksyung's legendary run, not one team has even made a dent on the leaderboard, and at this point, the principals are on the verge of a collective meltdown. Seeing the students' morale plummet, they demand that the entire setup needs to be changed. Meanwhile, the Pinnacle team, just chilling in the stands, looks completely bored by the whole ordeal. Then, it's our boys' time to shine. They drop into a murky swamp realm, and unlike the student teams running around like headless chickens, these guys have a strategy. You've got the assault team, the heavy hitters whose job is to plow through enemies and take down massive bosses to secure the realms. Next is the research team, the brains of the operation, tasked with uncovering secrets and gathering intel. Then you have the guard team, the protectors who lock down secured areas and make sure the non-combatants don't get wiped off the map. And finally, there's the support team, the unsung MVPs who handle healing and keep everyone from biting the dust. Every team is juggling 10 side quests on top of their main objective. Our MC skims the research team's list and immediately zeroes in on the main goal, defeating the final boss for a cool 50 points. It seems like a solid challenge, but he's far more obsessed with uncovering the truth about the gods and this chaotic world. Since research lets him blend raw combat with strategic thinking, it's the perfect fit. The rest of the crew is on board with research too. Yui scans the list and flags 2 tasks that involve capturing creatures alive. Our boy opts for the easier mission, snatching a crab for a quick 10 points. Back in the main hall, the principals, who just a moment ago looked like they were ready to pray for divine intervention, suddenly snap to attention as our team actually starts carving a path forward. It finally clicks for Yu-chen that her uncle wasn't exaggerating about the MC. Yingzhen nearly has a heart attack when he witnesses them casually unleashing orange-tier skills. But old Feng sets him straight, explaining it's not about flashy techniques. These kids are just on another level. Their synergy, their timing, and their teamwork are practically flawless. And right in the middle of it all is our hero, demonstrating how a single, well-aimed strike can humble a foe more effectively than any over-the-top ultimate move. Our boys' team rips through the monsters like they're nothing. Their performance leaves the entire audience completely speechless. Even the so-called boss monster, who was expected to be a major hurdle, gets wiped out just as effortlessly. They managed to do all of that in less than 10 minutes, shattering the previous record. With the mission in the bag, they head back to turn in their quests. As they re-enter the hall, Mukyu breaks the silence with applause, quickly joined by Yunjo, Lee Ke, and the others. Afterward, Mukyu starts gassing up our hero's squad to anyone within earshot, while Yunjo falsely claims he was defending their honor against online trolls, a claim we all know is cap. The principals, seeing their students genuinely fired up for once, finally let out a collective sigh of relief. Then the assessment rankings drop. Jiqiang takes first place, Yunjo lands at 31, and Lee Ke is right behind him at 32, with Mukyu coming in at 95. But something feels wrong. Where's the MC and his team? The whispers swell until Yunjo finally confronts a teacher, who reveals that our boys' team wasn't even ranked as students. Instead, they were instantly promoted to assistant teachers. At the same time, our hero and his crew are being shown to a guest house, supposedly because the professor overseeing the research group has mysteriously gone AWOL. They've barely begun to settle in when old Feng strolls in, with Yingzhen and several principals following close behind. The staff member escorting them just freezes, his brain struggling to comprehend the scene unfolding before him. The guide leading our hero's team looks absolutely shell-shocked because standing right there are the presidents from 3 of the nation's top universities. We're talking Fang Yuanwei from Peking University, Tong Shi from Silian University, and Wu Chen from Chongwu University. And all of them have gathered around our boy. The top universities are falling over themselves, each one trying to one-up the other in a frantic scramble to sign him. And our boy? His face is screaming that he'd rather be wrestling a pack of hellhounds than deal with this cringy recruitment pitch. Let's be real, his charisma stat is in the negatives. Thankfully, old Feng reads the room, sees our hero's silent suffering, and decides to intervene. He declares that the students need to focus on their training before they even think about college applications. The deans all put on their best, of course, faces, but you can see the gears turning. They're already cooking up schemes to make sure their rivals don't get their claws on our hero. The next morning rolls around, and our guy stumbles out of bed to see Rurei and Xiangshu are already moving, but both of them look like they've been through an absolute war zone. Apparently, their family group chats have been exploding since the crack of dawn. Everyone is desperate to know their university plans because the big 3 schools went straight to their parents. Poor Rurei looks like he hasn't slept a wink, completely drained from the non-stop calls. Ting isn't faring any better, either. In fact, Rurei is still stuck on the phone. And while everyone else's families are celebrating, our MC is just standing there, feeling like a total ghost. But right as the sad violin music starts playing for his tragic main character moment, his phone buzzes. It's Chiwei. She's just checking in. Then she casually drops that those same 3 universities have been blowing up her phone, asking about his future. She didn't call him any sooner, because she knows he isn't exactly a morning person. And just like that, hearing someone actually thought about him, our hero's vibe is instantly restored. He asks for her take on the whole situation. After the morning chaos finally settles, all the students assemble for the first part of their special training, a deep dive into Secret Realm strategy. These places are basically uncharted territory, meaning ambushes and lethal death traps are just part of the experience. The instructor lays down the law: follow every order, don't get any bright ideas and wander off, and absolutely do not start beef with the locals. Before they dive in, they get their team assignments, and Mukyu gets placed on our boys' squad. With that sorted, they plunge into an unnamed secret realm. While the others are fighting for their damn lives, our boy is in full-on nerd mode. He's glued to his tablet, meticulously recording a lizard man's combat stats. Mukyu watches him and the rest of the crew, realizing just how massive the power gap has become. A fire ignites inside her. She has to catch up. Later, when they finally get a second to breathe, our hero brings up his conversation with Chiwei. According to her intel, Zillion University has the most cracked research team, but their management is so suffocating it would feel like a high-tech prison. Peking University, however, offers way more freedom, which sounds a lot more like his style. But before they can get any deeper into it, Ting suddenly freaks out and tells them to check the class group chat. The whole conversation instantly spirals into absolute chaos. Chiwei is trapped inside a secret realm because the entrance suddenly mutated. The monster levels have shot through the damn roof, and almost 100 people are stuck in there with her. To make things even worse, the magical energy at the gate is so wild that just walking in without a plan is a straight-up suicide run. The students immediately swarm the guards, demanding that they do something. Chiwei only went in there to support them because they were undermanned. And now they're all out here, safe and sound, while she's still stuck in that nightmare. But the guards just stonewall them, insisting they have to wait for the main guild's backup. Then you have this clown, everyone's favorite brand of shameless, bragging that he escaped because of his own amazing skills, and that Chiwei should just do the same. And that is the exact moment our boy arrives. The other students scramble to give him the rundown, as the loudmouth finally realizes he messed up and starts making weak excuses. Our hero, however, has zero interest in hearing them. Instead, he grabs the guy's face and forcefully introduces it to the ground. Before the clown can even register the taste of mud, some other genius tries to step up, but Xiangshu materializes behind him like a silent assassin. Suddenly, nobody's feeling very brave anymore. The MC begins dragging the first guy through the dirt, just as Lu Ping, the vice president of the Era Guild, appears and tells him to chill. They need this lowlife conscious, because he's going to be their guide to find Chiwei. At the realm's entrance, another guard tries to block their path, but Lu Ping just flashes his ID, and after seeing his rank, the guard has no choice but to step aside. The instant they're inside, every one of them feels a massive spike in all their stats, but it's a trap. It comes with a nasty field effect, a debuff that screws with everyone in the zone. Lu Ping has been here before, and he knows this realm was never supposed to have one. This is solid proof of a mutation. While the rest of the team is struggling under the immense pressure, our hero isn't even slightly bothered. His stats are so ridiculously overpowered that the field effect feels like nothing more than a gentle breeze. The others, on the other hand, are not so lucky. If this keeps going, they won't last much longer, and he can only pray Chi is still holding on. With no time to waste, they decide it's time to wake up their unwilling guide and put him to work. A splash of freezing water shocks the guy awake, and the moment his eyes open, the pathetic whining begins. He immediately starts begging for his life, as if that would ever change the MC's mind. But our hero cuts to the chase, giving the guy two simple options: lead them to Chi, or get left behind for a little one-on-one time with the monsters. Deep inside the cave's suffocating darkness, a small band of survivors is huddled together, doing whatever it takes to avoid becoming the next meal. Chi is right there with them, patching up wounds and acting as the glue holding everyone's sanity together. They've been holding out for a rescue mission that feels like a ghost story, because absolutely no one has come for them. Their entire strategy is to stay silent and pray the monsters don't find them a plan that blows up in their faces with catastrophic timing. A creature smashes through their makeshift barrier, immediately lunging for a man, the father of a terrified little girl in the group. The girl's screams echo through the cavern, but there's no time to grieve. These monsters aren't exactly known for their patience. The consensus is to run now and process the trauma later. But just as the creature closes in on Chi and the girl for a double kill, a wall of solid ice erupts from the ground, shielding them. In that exact moment, our MC and his crew stride into the cavern with unnerving calm and immediately jump into the fray. Ting and the others start administering first aid while the little girl collapses, weeping over her father's lifeless body. Only 20 survivors remain, all of them barely keeping it together, with no idea what fate befell the others. And before a single moment of relief can sink in, long, slimy tentacles begin to slither out from the shadows. Joshan manages to hack through one of the appendages, but it instantly begins to regenerate. To make everything infinitely worse, their only escape route is now completely sealed off. Another tentacle whips towards Chi, but before it can connect, our boy slices it clean off, and this time, it stays severed. Lu Ping sees his attack was the key. The MC immediately takes command and pushes them deeper into the darkness, where they finally spot a faint glimmer of light. Just as a wave of hope washes over them, the final boss makes its grand, horrifying appearance. A colossal, writhing mass of tentacles erupts before them, blocking the path entirely. Everyone else is paralyzed by fear, but our hero is already calculating his next move. He knows this abomination is the source of all the chaos, and the only way out is to destroy it. The monster attacks first, and he raises his sword to block, but the force of the blow shatters his blade. For a heartbeat, everything falls silent. Then, he summons a new weapon, and with one lightning-fast strike, the monstrosity crumbles into dust, leaving behind some choice loot. With the nightmare over, they finally emerge from the cave. Some survivors break down, mourning their dead, while Lu Ping steps forward to formally thank the MC. Our hero's gaze lands on Chi, who's still visibly shaken, so he presents her with the healing emblem, to give her abilities a serious power-up. The MC offers Chi the artifact, a gesture that should have been met with gratitude, but instead, she just stares at it with total uncertainty. Lu Ping, meanwhile, is absolutely floored by how casually our boy is treating the situation. An emblem like this hasn't been seen since the Trial Realm invasion, yet he's acting like he just picked up some random quest item. Our hero insists she take it, and she finally, reluctantly, accepts. The MC then decides it's time to give Chi some specialized training, but there's a catch. The training camp is on lockdown, and no one gets to leave for more than 2 months. So he approaches Lu Ping to ask for a single afternoon of leave. He's stunned when Ping not only approves but offers him several extra days off. But our boy turns down the bonus time. And just when it seems like things are settling down, a swarm of reporters appears from nowhere and completely surrounds them. They're all shouting, wanting to know who took down the monster. Lu Ping points a single finger right at our hero, and in an instant, he's buried under an avalanche of questions. Rui and Yue, watching from the sidelines, take in the spectacle of his suffering. Rui looks slightly concerned, but Yue is low-key enjoying the chaos. After that whole ordeal, the MC is back in his room, still trying to decompress from the sheer horror of his first real-life press mobbing. But then, a thought clicks into place. He remembers the skill book, the one that contains an incredibly overpowered ability to completely negate a fatal attack, even if it has an insanely long cooldown. After he absorbs its power, the ability evolves into something even crazier. For every 100,000 points of faith power he accumulates, he gains 1 full resurrection. He currently has a little over 4,000 points. On top of that, every world level he gains increases his maximum faith power by 100,000. From what he can gather, faith power is basically what gods get from their followers. Not that he's planning on starting a cult anytime soon, but he absolutely has to figure out a way to farm this new power. And to do that, he decides Duan is probably the only person who would have answers. In another district, Old Feng arrives on scene to deal with yet another crisis. The guards bring him up to speed on Tian Yi, a powerhouse who went MIA years ago and has suddenly reappeared. And the very first thing he did upon returning was to start throwing hands. In his rampage, he's already injured several civilians and security officers, and their initial scans put his strength level well above the 5th transformation. Old Feng walks straight up to Tian Yi, who clearly recognizes him. Just as the confrontation is about to boil over, Old Feng's phone buzzes. It's a call from Duan. Tian Yi becomes absolutely livid at being ignored by the old man. On the phone, Old Feng learns that the mysterious hero is looking for him, but Tian Yi has already taken the slight as the ultimate form of disrespect and is about to completely lose his mind. Squares up, ready to throw down. But plot twist, Old Feng is no longer the same weakling he once was. With a blistering wave of fire, he absolutely incinerates Tian Yi's strike. Thanks to our hero's training, he has no time for drawn-out drama. As our hero waits, their powers clash in a massive explosion. But Tian Yi, the Demon Lord's oh-so-cocky disciple, is completely losing his mind that some old dude is actually putting up a real fight. And before Tian Yi can even wrap his head around the sheer humiliation of it all, Old Feng unleashes a fiery haymaker that sends him flying. He then casually ditches the mess for the guards to handle, dips out, heads to the training base, and links up with Duan in the reception room, who spills the tea that the mystery hero wants to leak the top-tier potion formulas to the public. And on top of that, he wants the management bureau to run the whole show. Old Feng knows their world is trapped in a death loop, trying to keep up, as the never-ending chaos of secret realms grows deadlier, while adventurers continue to throw themselves into the meat grinder, out of a desperate need to conquer them. But these high-level potions could literally rewrite the entire power dynamic. The world is a dumpster fire, but our hero is all about giving the underdogs a fighting chance. Old Feng knows this isn't some reckless, impulsive move, so he's determined not to fumble this massive gift. If the hero is about to make such a colossal play, the very least they can do is lock in a bulletproof game plan so things don't implode. Meanwhile, over at the Kangaroo Guild, Shiyu gets hit with the bombshell about the high-level experience and memory-wiping potions, which have somehow already started circulating on the black market. The branding might be different, but the effects are a dead giveaway. The problem is, besides him, only one other person on the entire planet even knows how to brew these things, and that person is none other than our mysterious hero. This can only mean someone's been moving real shady, and he is so not here for it. So he slams the panic button and demands a full, immediate investigation. You, being our boy's ultimate ride or die, just can't resist clowning on him about that cringe interview video he still refuses to watch. But to his shock, the public is absolutely obsessed with it. She even points out that the comment section is basically a fan club. Our hero, on the other hand, is still not buying it. But one thing is undeniable. His faith power has been skyrocketing ever since those interviews went live. So, like it or not, it seems he's officially in his influencer era now. As he strolls through the training camp, students are practically bowing down to him, showing newfound respect after his latest power flex. The backchatter has completely vanished. Even the upperclassmen now call him teacher. Cut to Kinyu City, Lan and Captain Joe are doom-scrolling on their phones, only to discover their city has been thrust into the national spotlight, All because of our main character. Lon steps away to handle a call, while Joe notices Mayor Zhao sighing. It turns out, he's stressing about the inevitable. When our guy leaves for university, the mysterious benefactor will probably ghost them too. And to make a bad situation worse, Duan has already returned the villa's keys, since he hardly ever stays in town anymore. With his power players all dipping out one by one, Mayor Zhao's anxiety is spiking. Just then, Lon reappears, looking like she's seen a ghost. That's because old Feng just called her, with the insane news that the mysterious hero wants to become her personal mentor. Later, at a summit with the 7 guild leaders, old Feng lays out the whole situation. He proposes they collaborate with government officials to launch a national alchemy workshop, all spearheaded by the mysterious hero. The other guild leaders are hyped at the thought of finally getting some stability in potion prices and supply. For the longest time, the Kangaroo Guild had a total chokehold on potion formulas, which put everyone else in a serious bind. Now, they finally see a way out. Shiyu agrees, but then he poses an incredibly awkward question about the hero's true intentions and reveals that those same high-level potions have already popped up on the black market, hinting that the hero might have been sitting on these formulas for a long time. The entire room goes dead silent. The black market is not some friendly neighborhood swap meet. It's a shadow world where laws are treated like polite suggestions, and the most dangerous people imaginable can acquire things they absolutely should not have. Joe cuts through the tension, stating the real issue. Regardless of intent, these game-changing potions are already in the wrong hands. Old Feng decides they have to investigate, and once Lan finishes her training, she's going to be the one to lead the charge. But Joe isn't about to let Old Feng call all the shots. He makes it crystal clear that allowing a superpowered individual to operate without any oversight is a catastrophic idea. So no matter what Feng has planned, Joe intends to send his own people from his guild to work alongside Shiyu's guild on the investigation. And if they discover the hero is dirty, Old Feng better be ready to face the consequences. Old Feng, to his credit, accepts without a fight. Elsewhere, our main character and his crew are exploring a secret realm, and in there, they're discussing the potions. Ting, knowing her brother's obsession with control, promises him their potion records are locked down tighter than Fort Knox, and so far, there have been zero signs of any leaks. Rui insists that his family's potions are handled exclusively by him and his grandfather, with constant double checks. Mukyu chimes in, proudly stating she counts every single vial twice a day. Our hero couldn't care less about these concoctions, but it's crystal clear they mean the world to everyone else. Thanks to their obsessive-compulsive level of tracking, he pinpoints exactly where the potions have been vanishing to, which leads to a gut-wrenching realization. Besides himself and the Kongrui Guild, a mysterious third party has their hands on these secret recipes. Tucked away in the grimy corners of the black market, a hooded figure scoffs at the 7 major guilds, causing a massive uproar over a single potion. His associate reassures him that humans are utterly clueless. After all, he'd already field-tested the potion right under their noses, and they didn't suspect a thing. But just as they're deep in their villain monologue, a couple of newcomers interrupt. They're on the hunt for a young assassin who stopped by to buy potions, and then completely ghosted them. The hooded figure, clearly the boss, instantly assumes they're looking for a fight, and decides it's time to unveil his monstrous final form. In a flash, he snatches both the guy and the girl by the throat, literally squeezing the life right out of them. The lackey who brought them there stammers out an apology to his leader, but the boss just tells him to take out the trash. The bodies are unceremoniously dragged off and tossed into some kind of twisted ritual circle, joining a pile of other unlucky souls. They're all just laid out while the leader and his crew wait for the next wave of brainwashed warriors to awaken so they can finally launch their master plan. The leader then dips, slithering into someone's consciousness, fully prepared to execute his so-called brilliant scheme. A few days later, Duan hits up our hero with some grim news. A massive batch of high-level potions just got dumped on the black market, and the sellers? They've completely vanished. Duan figures they caught wind of the investigation and went deep underground. And you can tell he's absolutely kicking himself for not being able to handle a seemingly simple case on his own. Right as he's spiraling in self-loathing, his phone buzzes again. It's Lon, and she's come up empty-handed too. Meanwhile, our MC is mobbed by students during lunch in the cafeteria, all of whom have apparently decided he's their new idol. It makes sense he's super chill, and not the typical arrogant, stone-cold powerhouse they're used to. Our boy, however, is playing 4D chess. He knows these students are the future cream of the crop. When he eventually makes his big power play, having these connections will be a game changer. So yeah, he's basically networking. Yu-Chen, who's part of the crowd, can't help but ask how many guild invitations he's been racking up. The MC, though, has absolutely zero interest in joining someone else's crew. Another student speculates he's building his own from the ground up. Or maybe Yue's guild is his team's new headquarters, but our boy shuts that down, clarifying it's still Yue's guild. He explains his team is just borrowing the name temporarily. This little comment somehow ignites a firestorm. Suddenly, students are clamoring, asking if they can join UA's guild too. By the end of lunch, it feels less like a meal and more like a chaotic job fair. And our hero has accidentally become the lead recruiter. Not that he minds one bit. His whole reason for coming to the training camp was to scout a few promising rookies, and things are turning out way better than he could have imagined. With Chung completely out of the equation, UA is now in total command of her guild, which basically gives him a private army on retainer. Chung's downfall was nothing short of tragic for him first. His dad was exposed for conspiring with some seriously shady people. And then, investigators discovered a demonic magic formation set up in his home and the homes of his followers. Now, there's a warrant out for their arrest, and UA has already purged them from the guild roster. This whole mess conveniently saves him the trouble of having to orchestrate a takedown himself. Just then, he gets a ping, an update from Duan, at the black market. He scrolls through the photos and messages detailing the potion-making equipment Duan discovered on site, and the high-level experience potions are all bottled and labeled in a way that's identical to the Kangaroo Guild's products. Duan's theory is that the leak is coming directly from inside their ranks. But that isn't the most disturbing revelation. Duan also uncovered strange circular markings etched into the ground, their nests for parasitic demons. These horrifying little critters latch onto a host, burrow into their minds, and seize complete control of their bodies. Once they hatch, it's impossible to tell who's been infected, which means some of these things are already walking among human society. At that very moment, back at the Kangaroo Guild, Xiu and Fang Zhou are anxiously awaiting any word on the investigation. Just then, Old Huang, the very man whose brain was hijacked by the parasite leader, strolls into the room. Without warning, his body erupts into a grotesque mess of writhing tentacles. Old Huang is now nothing more than a meat puppet. He's completely under the thumb of the parasitic demon king, and by some sick twist of fate, the parasite's prime target, Zhou, is standing right there. Standing beside Xiu, the parasite is already fantasizing about the insane power surge it will get from sacrificing both of them. Over in the black market, Dwayne is giving Lon an intel drop on parasitic demons, explaining how, on their own, they're basically pushovers. But the moment they begin to multiply, they unlock this busted ability called Swarm, which literally transforms them into an unstoppable plague. The bigger the horde, the more powerful they become, and naturally, the one cultivating them reaps the greatest rewards. Until this point, these abominations have been operating on the down low, using high-level potions as bait to ensnare clueless human hosts. According to this mysterious hero everyone's talking about, the only way to sniff them out once they power up is with special instruments or specific spells. And to actually exterminate them, you need a divine artifact. We're talking ultra-rare items blessed by the gods themselves. Lon, however, is staying positive. If the hero mentioned them, then a path to acquiring one must exist. Our boy is deep in the archives of the Demon Lord's memories, searching for an answer. He's reminded of just how infuriating parasitic demons can be. They have a damage-sharing link with their hosts, meaning any fatal blow to the parasite just gets transferred directly to its unfortunate meat suit. This is exactly why divine artifacts are so clutch. They can sever that connection and forcibly eject the demon from its host. But our main character is drawing a complete blank on any existing artifact that could pull that off. In that exact moment, Duan calls with an urgent report. A massive wave of dark energy has just erupted from the Kangri Guild, precisely as our hero foresaw. Even worse, it's complete radio silence from everyone inside, Xiu included. Adding to the mountain of red flags, a crew of obviously sketchy adventurers is now just loitering outside the guild. Our hero orders Duan to enforce a strict quarantine before making a beeline to the guild to handle the situation personally. On the rooftop, the parasite kingpin, still piloting Old Huang's body, has Xiu Zhou and a whole platoon of brainwashed clan members assembled and waiting. The main character arrives, and predictably, anyone idiotic enough to charge him gets put down before they can even register their mistake. The leader recognizes our hero from the viral videos. Our boy, however, is far more concerned with the sheer volume of mind-controlled victims. A wide-scale destruction curse is off the table. It would only turn them into living shields for the parasites. He wonders if the weapon he's about to bring out can even be considered a divine artifact. But hey, it's worth a shot. The parasite leader starts running his mouth, rambling about wanting our hero's body to incubate a new generation of superior warriors. He strikes, but the main character deflects the blow with ease, which sends the leader into a blind rage. Our hero already knows that conventional weapons are completely useless against this monstrosity. The parasite leader, though, is absolutely certain our protagonist's weapon is nothing special. So, to give him a live demonstration, our main character rips open the dark gate to summon a high-ranking demon lord. The leader is deep in his own villainous monologue as the portal materializes, while our hero stands there, completely zoned out. He's already deduced that this particular demon lord is a major player, something like a top general for the evil god. And this is the guy who's usually equipped with divine artifacts, specifically to hunt these parasitic freaks. Considering the Dark Gate is forbidden magic, he's really hoping it doesn't decide to crash at the most inconvenient time possible. The gateway finally swings open, and out waddles a tiny creature, leaving both our hero and the parasite leader utterly dumbfounded. Staring at the so-called almighty High Demon Lord, the leader's confusion quickly morphs into pure, unadulterated amusement. When the little thing faceplants onto the ground moments later, he erupts in laughter, mocking the main character for accidentally summoning a house pet. But before he can even finish his laugh, reality comes crashing down on him, because in the next instant, he and his entire army simply collapse. The leader starts freaking out, desperately trying to comprehend what just happened. A second ago, he was the king of the world. Now, he's sprawled on the ground, completely powerless. To make a terrible situation infinitely worse, the tiny demon lord begins to swallow him whole as our boy watches the spectacle. He can see it plain as day. This little guy is way more potent than any fancy God-blessed weapon. The once arrogant leader, on the other hand, who was just bragging about taking over the world, is now reduced to a whimpering mess. He tries to take it all back, insisting his earlier threats were just a bit of banter, but our hero is already reporting. Cornered, the parasite spills every single detail. Apparently, old Huang and his squad had stormed the parasite's secret realm, and while they were busy celebrating their victory, he covertly infested Huang and hitched a ride into the human world, initially keeping a low profile in the black market. People disappearing without a trace tends to draw suspicion, but as soon as he got strong enough, he skipped the whole elaborate hatching process and started puppeteering humans by injecting them with larvae, which is what made him arrogant enough to go after the Kangaroo Guild. Now he's a blubbering wreck, begging our MC to spare him. This whole humiliating meltdown is being streamed live to the 7 guild leaders, including Old Fang. Since not a single one of them knows how to properly deal with a parasitic demon, they just dump the problem on our hero, expecting him to handle the cleanup, as usual. They finally have to admit that without him, it wouldn't just be their guilds, but the entire freaking world that would probably be toast. Old Fang finds our boy at the training base with some killer news. It seems the government is launching a slick new corporation to produce high-level potions, and the person raking in most of the profits is none other than our ridiculously OP hero. The MC figures it's a solid deal, though it's not like he'd ever turn down free cash. Old Fang also mentions a huge ceremony is being set up in his honor once the training camp wraps up, because, let's be real, his legendary status deserves some major props. The press is also chomping at the bit, desperate for an interview with him. The moment he hears that, our guy spots the perfect opportunity to farm some faith, power, and tells the old man to set up those interviews as soon as possible. With business handled, he gets ready to dive back into training. But first, he passes the High Demon Lord off to Duan, trusting him to keep the creature on a tight leash. Duan, however, isn't exactly stoked about babysitting a demon that could probably wipe the floor with him. It sparks a competitive fire in him, and he silently promises himself he's going to grind even harder. The MC mulls over the Demon Lord's power. The creature's mere presence radiates a domain-like effect that just drains the fight out of its opponents. But since that's useless when it's just sitting around, our boy decides there's no point in suppressing it for nothing. He also catches the creature constantly sniffing Han Yin's pendant, which is, honestly, a little creepy. In a flash of genius, he decides to name it Momo. Our hero then heads back to the training camp, where he unexpectedly bumps into a young girl asking around for the hero. Turns out, she's not just some random kid. She's Professor Zi Yan, a major player at Peking University and a top consultant for the 7 guilds. Rui knows who she is immediately, as she was a classmate of his father back in the day. Despite looking like a teenager, she's a legend in secret realm research and has made massive breakthroughs in both theory and technology. Yan had been completely absorbed in her research inside a secret realm, which is how she managed to miss all the recent drama. But the second she got back and heard about our MC's epic feats, she had to meet him. Our boy remembers seeing her name in the camp's intro materials and had pictured some stuffy, old professor. Instead, he finds she's incredibly chill. Yan then asks our hero to join her for breakfast, which is a spread made entirely from monster parts. While they eat, they talk about how Teacher Lee, for once, didn't drag them out of bed at some unholy hour. It comes out that poor Lee has been stuck in the lab since the night before, all thanks to Ziyan's return. She put him on a non-stop work grind, and now he's sulking in a corner, green with envy, because she didn't even think to wake up the MC and the crew. After that, back at the breakfast table, Yan and Yue are basically in a competition to see who can praise our boy's achievements more. As the grand finale, she announces that she brought back some exclusive gifts for them from the secret realm, and leads them to the research lab. Over at the lab, Teacher Lee is totally sweating under the pressure of having teaching assistants. giving his workspace the once-over. Just when he's trying to salvage some shred of his dignity, Han Yin's pendant suddenly pulses with a faint wave of energy. Yan pulls our boy over to show him a collection of stones. At first, the rocks she's so pumped about just look like a pile of worthless rubble. But the longer our hero stares, the more this gnawing feeling in his gut insists that these aren't just ordinary rocks. They look like fragments from some ancient wall or maybe a shattered statue, the last remnants of a civilization lost to history. Yan is already on the exact same wavelength. Most secret realms are just monster-infested arenas or bizarre pocket dimensions, but this one is giving off some serious Lost Kingdom energy. Similar fragments had been discovered before in the Valley of Defeat, but that place was a certified death trap, crawling with monsters eager to rip you limb from limb. Nobody in their right mind was brave enough to go exploring there. Even so, she has a hunch that a whole city might be buried deep under the valley. The MC thinks the theory is pretty wild, though the timing feels a little too perfect, as if the universe is feeding him clues. He leans in to inspect a broken crystal, and his Han Yin pendant immediately starts siphoning the weak energy waves coming off it. That's all the proof he needs to go check out this secret realm for himself. When they get to the site, Yan introduces him to her research crew. The three of them look like they're meeting their ultimate idol, practically vibrating with excitement at seeing our boy. Meanwhile, Chiwei is just lingering awkwardly off to the side, wondering what she's even doing there. Yue pulls her in, assuring her she totally belongs, because, duh, they wouldn't have dragged her along just to be a background character. As the group stops for a breather, a grotesque monster materializes, but Xiangshu doesn't even flinch, bisecting the beast with a single, flawless slash. And that's not even the main event. As the creature's corpse thuds to the ground, the very earth beneath it splinters and collapses, revealing something far more profound. They're not just standing in some random ruins, they're on the skeletal remains of an ancient civilization. Yan, ever the strategist, immediately starts analyzing the grim scene. This city was annihilated, completely overrun by a monstrous horde, and if history is in a mood to repeat itself, their own world might just be next on the chopping block. Our hero feels a cold dread creep over him. He's hit with a sudden flashback to the Trial Secret Realm from the Kangaroo Guild, another once glorious civilization that had been ground down into nothing but dust and echoes. While he's struggling to process this earth-shattering revelation, his pendant begins to thrum with that familiar energy. He lets the pull guide his steps, and it leads him to another crystal shard, embedded deep within the stonework. But before they can get a better look, a suffocating wave of dark energy ripples through the air. Moving with extreme caution, they press forward, only to find themselves before a massive platform radiating some seriously malevolent vibes. The MC instantly recognizes the design. It's a summoning circle, built to call forth some kind of evil god, and the energy pouring off this one is infinitely more potent than anything he's ever witnessed. As if on cue, monsters begin swarming them. Jia Shang yells for Rui to stay sharp, but Rui is completely unfazed, knowing our boy has the rear totally locked down. He's treating this apocalyptic scenario like a casual practice drill, so the dynamic duo surges to the front. Yan and her team fortify the backline, while Yue declares she's going to solo the boss monster. Our boy gives her the green light, confident he can secure their flank. Not that he's worried in the slightest. His specialized training has forged them into a unit that even monsters know not to mess with. Judging by the monster's sudden hesitation, they seem to be reconsidering all their life choices. Yue doesn't waste a second, exploding forward to lead the charge. She conjures a blinding sandstorm that completely engulfs the boss. As the creature stumbles blindly, a single arrow slices through the chaos and strikes it true. Flashback to a few minutes earlier, a completely different team spots the exact same type of monster that our crew just dispatched. In a desperate scramble to get ahead of the MC's party, they charge forward in search of an artifact known as the Heart of the World. Just as they're closing in on the exit, they pick up a faint life signal, only for the secret realm to abruptly decide it has had enough of their presence and begin rejecting them. Before they can even react, they're violently teleported out, reappearing near our hero's team. Yue hears a faint, strange noise, but our hero is way too busy geeking out over his pendant, as it eagerly absorbs the crystal's raw power to pick up on anything. Yan, however, has also caught a strange sound coming from the direction of the entrance. The really bizarre part is that the secret realm is supposed to be under guard, so logically, no one else should have been able to get inside. Sensing something is seriously wrong, they decide to double back and check it out. And sure enough, they discover a set of footprints leading toward the exit, which then mysteriously vanish into thin air. A scout confirms with Yan that the guards saw nobody slip past, yet Yan and the others can clearly see a trail of footprints that begins right at the edge of the monster battlefield. That means someone either casually strolled through the front entrance, like they had an all-access pass, or used some seriously advanced teleportation magic. Judging by the mountain of monster corpses decorating the landscape, whoever it was, they definitely weren't there for a friendly visit. Yingjin and Old Fang arrive on the scene, take one look around, and instantly agree that only a true powerhouse could have caused this level of destruction. But the most perplexing detail is that these intruders didn't even bother to loot the place properly. It's as if they speed ran the entire dungeon, cherry-picking only the absolute best items and leaving all the other treasures behind. That kind of surgical precision requires more than just raw strength. It demands a level of coordination that most teams can only fantasize about. Wangbo is utterly convinced that aside from our hero's crew, no other team could possibly pull off such a feat. Then Yan drops a mind-bending theory. What if the intruders aren't from their world at all? It sounds like a wild leap at first, but after discovering all those bizarre relics from other realms, just scattered about, it's not such a stretch. If other worlds are truly out there, some might be similar to their own, while others could be 10 steps ahead with futuristic tech and even bigger threats. Now, our MC isn't too fazed by this, since he has the Demon Lord's memories rattling around in his head, so he's already aware of the whole multiverse situation. But the idea that people can just casually dimension hop whenever they want introduces a whole new level of headache. If these visitors come in peace, that's great. If not, well, it means they've just unlocked an entirely new category of interdimensional enemies. And of course, they have no clue what these beings want, or if they'll ever return. Yingjin and Old Feng, however, are operating on their own agenda. They're scheming to push Yue's guild into taking a more prominent role, and finally dethrone the Kangrui guild, claiming their spot among the legendary Seven Greats. The Kangrui and Feng Zhou's guilds are still reeling, absolutely shattered from the parasitic demon fiasco. And with their leader, Zhou, having ghosted everyone without picking a successor, this is a once-in-a-lifetime power vacuum. But Ua, she's not feeling it. She tries to politely dip, reminding them she's literally just a high schooler running a fledgling guild, not some battle-hardened legend. But Yingzhen jumps in to hype her up, promising that the guild's veteran members will have her back every step of the way. Ua's eyes dart to our hero, pleading for guidance, but he just tells her to follow her gut. For some reason, that's all the push Ua needed. She's ready to take the plunge. Jishan and Ting are still trying to process this insane plot twist in their lives. For our hero, though, this is a colossal victory. Ua, ascending to the Seven Great Guilds, supercharges his grand scheme to farm faith power, and the guy is absolutely glowing. But as he's soaking in his win, a voice slices through the silence. A quick scan of the room confirms it. Nobody else flinched. It's Han Yin's voice, echoing directly in his mind. Then his focus shifts to the pendant. It's gone dark, no longer siphoning energy from the glowing crystal. He has no idea what triggered it, but thankfully, the crystal itself seems unharmed. Just as the questions start swirling, Han Yin's voice chimes in again. When our hero demands to know what's up, Yin reveals the crystal just finished rebooting itself. And this isn't just some magic rock. That thing is the heart of the world. Han Yin drops some major lore. The heart of the world is the planet's ultimate failsafe, a life support system hard-coded by the universe's own laws. It's designed to stop total annihilation. If the world ever teeters on the edge of destruction, the heart activates like a cosmic EMT. But if it's ever destroyed, it's lights out for the planet, permanently. And those universal laws embedded within it, they are the literal source code of all divine power. Back in the Golden Age, gods even tapped into it to resurrect their most die-hard followers. We're talking full-on respawns. The list of its insane abilities goes on, but unfortunately, Han Yin's memory decides to crash right at that critical moment. He strains, but the rest of the data is corrupted, completely inaccessible. Our MC tells Han Yin to just focus on healing, but the guy is spiraling into a pit of self-blame. The missing info is gnawing at our hero too, making him suspect this is a twisted side effect of his own resurrection. Meanwhile, across the realm, Shi Yan's team concludes their search, coming up with absolutely nothing but a ghost town of deserted structures. King Jin argues they should seal the secret realm before it becomes a beacon for unwanted attention, and Wangbo is quick to agree. Old Feng defers to Ua for the final decision. She gives a timid, shaky nod. With that, they shut down the portal and head for home. Our hero makes it back to the teacher's dormitory and steps into a long, hot shower. But when he gets out, Han Yin is still stuck on repeat, apologizing profusely. Then, like a bolt of lightning, the missing piece of memory slams back into place. It turns out, resurrecting someone with the heart of the world isn't a miracle. It comes with a terrifying catch, because the heart also harbors an immense dark power. Gods who use it to revive their followers are hit with a devastating spiritual backlash, sometimes corrupting them into evil gods themselves. And the most twisted part? In the end, they are compelled to hunt down and kill the very person they brought back to life. Our MC, already an evil god, isn't too stressed about the whole turning evil part, but he knows if Han Yin discovers this, His guilt will absolutely crush him. Then a memory sparks in our hero's mind. He possesses a skill that grants him complete immunity to the backlash from dark power. So, he asks Han Yin if this resurrection curse only taints the user, or if it could poison Han Yin too. Han Yin is clueless. Our hero, seeing his distress, tries to calm him down, telling him to just focus on living in the now. They'll deal with any apocalyptic problems as they arise. But there's one more truth bomb he has to drop. Our hero finally tells Han Yin everything, revealing that the gods have officially branded him an evil god, and his abilities are now classified as forbidden curses. Yet Yin refuses to believe a word of it. He declares that our hero is the only righteous person he knows, while the so-called good guys are too busy chasing glory and power, letting their own people become cannon fodder in pointless wars. He pledges his undying loyalty, swearing he would walk through fire for him. In return, our hero makes a solemn vow to protect his people from any more tragedies. Later, our hero is still trying to wrap his head around this whole world-level business. It's really just a celestial rating system that determines how much the gods care about any given world. If a planet can survive their sadistic trials and earn their favor, it's rewarded with divine blessings, massive power boosts, and huge leaps in civilization. That's when Han Yin delivers the bad news. Their world is ranked at the very bottom. The strongest champions here can't even break level 150, and their most legendary weapons are hard-capped at orange grade. In other words, they're trapped in the tutorial area, while the gods are power-leveling other worlds to mythic status. But Han Yin is convinced that with our hero's arrival, the tides are finally about to turn. And speaking of being undergeared, Yin roasts the MC's current equipment, calling it basically, his gear is basically prehistoric by God standards. To actually make a dent, my guy needs some divine-tier weapons, the kind forged and perfected by true believers, like Yin. And that's when it clicks. Our boy remembers seeing an upgrade tag on Yin's pendant, and with a little guidance, he taps into its hidden, divine potential. And boom, his mental stats just skyrocket, nearly maxing out his total attributes. Yin swears he'll track down even better materials to level it up even more. But to get the full armor set buff, they're gonna have to find a few more loyal followers. The next morning, our hero dives into a secret realm no one's ever seen before and just starts shredding through monsters like it's a tutorial level. Lu Ping, Xiaoyan, literally everyone, they're all just frozen, staring at him like he just glitched the Matrix. But our MC? He's already hungry for the next secret realm. Ping has to break it to him. Their squad is already leagues ahead of everyone else. Today's insane speedrun totally wrecked the committee's curve. The rest of the student body is so salty about how ridiculously stacked our boys' team is, they've literally started a petition to force team rotations next month. And the wildest part? A couple of teachers actually tried to sneak their own names onto that petition, just for a chance to get on his OP squad. Too bad for them, they got totally busted. Yin's just breathing a sigh of relief that no one's poaching our boy. Later, the MC hits up his favorite class. The lecture is a deep dive into combat skills. We're talking raw damage output and the hardcore math behind every single hit. Sounds boring, right? Not when you're living in a world where 1% extra of damage can be the difference between life and death. Their world's power level is basically rock bottom, so they can't afford to waste a single thing. To our hero, every last drop of a resource is pure gold. Of course, not everyone has to master the complex art of juggling a tiny mana pool, squeezing every ounce of power from their limited skills, or facing down enemies that are straight up impossible. But the entire training system is built on this struggle, and it's forged some seriously incredible adventurers. So Hanian figures it's time to get studying. After class, our hero and Yua are heading out when they run smack into Shikshung. This dude barely said 2 words to our boy the entire training camp, but now he's here, looking all kinds of awkward. He stammers out a "thank you for saving the Kangaroo Guild," and then just spirals into a full-blown existential crisis. Turns out, he kept his distance from our hero because of Shiyu, and basically dissed anyone who was friends with him. But now, after some serious soul-searching, he's had a massive realization. The biggest idiot in this whole mess? It was him. He finally gets that if he hadn't been such a clown, his guild might never have needed saving to begin with. All the while, our boy is just standing there, completely lost, with zero clue what's going on inside Shixyung's head. I mean, they're practically strangers. Then, completely out of the blue, Shixyung shoves a freaking fragment of the heart of the world into our MC's hands as a gift. Our hero's mind flashes back to his chat with Han Yin, who explained that when a world is destroyed, its very heart shatters and scatters across dimensions. If he can gather enough of these fragments, he could rip open a portal back to that lost world. Apparently, Jayan had already pulled off something similar, without even knowing it, which is how those intruders managed to invade in the first place. Han also dropped the fact that, because the Archmage had already called dibs on the secret realm, The universe's own laws basically yeeted the intruders right back where they came from. Snapping back to the present, the MC thanks Shixiang. The next day dawns, and the crew arrives at their destination. Thanks to our hero's big brain moment figuring out the crystal fragment, Han Yin is still seriously unstable, and is desperately craving more energy from the heart of the world. As long as that dark power corruption doesn't get him, they should be fine. Probably. Our boy decides to fast-track Yin's recovery, because you can never have too many powerful allies. They step through the portal into a secret realm, fully expecting to see ruins, devastation, and some serious post-apocalyptic vibes. What they find instead is a massive, absolutely breathtaking landscape that looks like it's never known a moment of chaos in its life. They decide to venture deeper, only to discover that the path leads not to some forgotten ruin, but to a sprawling, living city. The guard standing at the gate looks way too human, making Yua suspect they've been dropped into some kind of high-level illusion. But Han Yin is certain if the heart of the world sent them here, this place is 100% legit. The guard, meanwhile, has already pegged them as a bunch of clueless off-worlders. Their weird clothes and the fact they look totally lost is a dead giveaway. They aren't from around here. You can't really blame the guard. Random visitors popping up isn't exactly a new thing, but they don't usually roll up looking like they just got out of middle school. Of course, Jayan immediately takes this as a personal insult. Too bad for her. Given her height, she could totally pass for a lost kid at a carnival, so the guard isn't exactly wrong. The guard just tells them to stay out of trouble and, more importantly, to keep their kids from starting any drama. As they roll into the city, they're met by a colossal statue of Arlita the Brave, the supposed daughter of the heavens, and the Empire's ultimate guardian. The script carved into it is totally alien to our hero, yet somehow, the words flow into his mind clear as day. Han Yin chimes in, explaining it's a connection forged by the heart of the world, and, no, they didn't accidentally stumble into a parallel universe. Our boy's attention snaps back to the inscription, which spins a yarn about a demonic tide that once drowned the world in unending darkness and terror. Then Arlita burst onto the scene, single-handedly annihilated the demons, and basically became the OG fantasy world influencer. But as they're marveling at her legendary status, Rui's eyes catch something strange carved into a nearby tree. It's a warning screaming for them to flee, but before he can even shout, the message flickers and vanishes as if it were just a ghost. The MC's gut starts screaming that something about the townspeople is seriously messed up, and surprise, surprise, his instincts are right on the money. In a horrifying flash, their human forms twist and contort into grotesque monsters. Their whole friendly town visit was nothing but an elaborate trap. These low-level illusion creatures don't waste a second, lunging at the group, but our boy carves right through them with ease. Jia Sheng, however, gears up for a heroic stand, only to watch his trusty axe completely disintegrate on impact. That's the moment reality slams into him. He is so not built for this kind of fight. He shuts his eyes, bracing for his imminent demise, only for the monsters to freeze in place, locked mid-pounce by Han Yin's shimmering magic. Han Yin gives the MC a quick rundown on these undead adventurers. It's instantly clear these aren't your average grunts. They're warriors from a much higher tier world. This is a major problem, seeing as our boy's crew is nowhere near strong enough to handle this level of threat. With the situation spiraling out of control, Han Yin offers to deal with them personally, burning the last of his energy reserves to manifest in the physical world. For just a few moments. The instant he appears, Jia Sheng and Yue look like they've literally seen a ghost, which, considering everything, is a pretty fair reaction. But our hero quickly tells them to chill. Han Yin is one of the good guys. Han Yin then raises his staff, launching a volley of crystal fragments at the undead. The second they make contact, the creatures are encased in solid ice. Standing among them is one woman who looks eerily like the statue they just passed. Her gaze sweeps the area and locks onto Han Yin as the alpha threat. But Han Yin just smirks, correcting her that he's not the strongest here, but he's still more than enough to put her down. That comment flips a switch, and she erupts in pure fury. She goes on a wild rant about how idiotic it is to have faith in gods and then blitzes straight for him. Han Yin effortlessly traps her in a swirling water prison. She feels her incredible speed get bogged down, which only fuels her rage. But Han Yin has already diagnosed the real issue, her weapon. He unleashes a piercing ice attack that smashes into her chest, and then, for good measure, he follows it up with one last concussive blast. She disintegrates, leaving only her weapon behind. But just as Han Yin reaches for the spoils, a sinister power explodes from the blade. The woman is very much alive, reveling in her performance, like a drama queen who just nailed the ultimate fake-out death scene. She wielded the Divine Doom, a weapon designed to absorb an opponent's power and use it to bring her back from the dead. As long as that weapon exists, so does she. Our boy checks on Han Yin, who claims he's fine, other than the small fact that he no longer has a physical body. Apparently, the weapon sucked out so much of his spiritual energy that he can't even hold his form together. With that grim news, the MC decides it's his turn to check out this so-called divine doom. The woman grins, totally expecting another moron to walk right into her trap. But the instant our hero's hand closes around the weapon, her smug smile dissolves. "Is there a problem?" he asks. She stares at him like he's an alien, because not only is he seeing her spectral form, but the weapon isn't siphoning a single shred of his energy. Instead, it's vibrating in his hand like a terrified rabbit. A system prompt informs our boy that Divine Doom is an endgame tier relic, offering him the choice to absorb its power. He decides to put a pin in that, and instead demands some answers from the ghost woman. At that exact moment, Yue and Jiasheng notice that all the other undead adventurers have gone completely still. Cornered, the woman begins to tell her tragic story. Their world was once a peaceful place, apart from the typical monster attacks, which their party could always handle. But one day, her teammate, a guy named Kalon, got a private system message from a god who had taken a special interest in him. Super sketchy, since no one else saw it, but a divine blessing is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so Kalon accepted and vanished. Arlita was devastated, but the others reminded her that life had to go on, and then it didn't. The monsters returned, but 100 times stronger. Their kingdom was torn asunder, and people were slaughtered in the streets. She waited for Kalon to return, or for the gods to finally intervene, but help never came. At her absolute limit, she was forced to use Divine Doom as a last resort, to finally push the monsters back. It worked, but the weapon's immense power came with a terrible side effect. Her entire nation was cursed. Pushed to the brink, she messed with some supposedly low-key dark magic to salvage things, but it blew up in her face. That power began to poison her mind. And that, my friends, is the story of how you accidentally transform your entire world into a nightmarish secret dimension where adventurers constantly stumble in, only to be twisted into the undead. Right then, Kalon materializes and orders our hero to fork over the weapon. Our boy isn't having it. He makes it crystal clear that the Divine Doom is his now. But Kalon doubles down, claiming it's his gear, just left behind for a tune-up. When talking gets him nowhere, he switches to threats. Hanyan quickly whispers to our hero that this is the divine power of the true essence, spirit lineage. Meanwhile, Arlita cuts in, apologizing for the drama, and begging our boy to help expose the truth. He throws out a wild solution. He can channel Helen herself by lending out a special skill, letting her hijack his consciousness for a bit. The catch? After this, she'll be gone, for good. Arlita doesn't even hesitate. With the deal struck, our hero transfers the power, and in a flash, she slams back into her original body. The second Kalon sees her, he looks like he's seen a ghost. She cuts straight to the chase, demanding answers. But Kalon deflects, questioning if some evil god is pulling her strings now. Arlita, already running on zero patience, decides she's done talking and lets her knuckles handle the conversation. She just starts wailing on him, punch after punch, until he's eating dirt. Only then does she begin the interrogation. Kalon, however, is still desperately clinging to his weak excuses, swearing he never abandoned them. He claims he was just tangled up in some super important trial, and by the time he noticed their world was literally collapsing, it was just, like, way too inconvenient for him to step in. And then he launches into this sob story, crying about how hard his life was after leaving, how he went from the strongest dude around to being a total nobody under the gods. But Arlita isn't buying a single word. She sees right through him, knowing he's avoiding the real problem. His obsession with the Divine Doom never went away. Kalon tries to spin a new story, claiming he left a magical tracker on the weapon and only rushed over because it vanished. He swears he just wanted more power and was terrified the gods would ditch him, but his real motives are shady as hell. The MC shuts him down with a clean punch before Arlita offers him the Divine Doom. Our hero, though, tells her to focus on what really matters, spilling the tea on the heart of the world and clearing things up for his crew. Arlita once believed that Kalon being chosen by the gods was this incredible blessing, but now she sees the brutal reality. The gods play favorites, and her world was never one of them. She wants to grant Kalon a final, eternal rest, and with that, she fades away. Yue, however, is spiraling, because even with a god's blessing, Arlita's world could still implode, and if their world goes down, what happens to hers? But the MC tells her not to sweat it. With a new resolve, the team pushes forward. Elsewhere, Kalon's body flickers back into existence, but now it's piloted by the true essence Holy Spirit, one of the 12 actual gods. He seems to think our boy is some legendary archmage in disguise, and now, his curiosity is piqued. He decides to do a little investigating of his own. Cut to the guild leaders' summit. This is Yua's first time at the big kids' table, and to put it lightly, she's tweaking. Linghua kicks things off with an intel drop from Yan, confirming the gods love to scout chosen ones from different worlds, showering them with blessings, and occasionally letting them ascend to higher planes. But the real kicker is that the gods are just farming for followers, turning these heroes into their personal marionettes. Luo Yuning is so over it, arguing that if the gods are so helpful, maybe they should just butt out entirely. Linghua, on the other hand, admits it's kinda cringe how much they've been leaning on our hero. Then it's Yua's turn. She presents Han Yun's findings, explaining that when they crunched the numbers and compared their power levels to the monsters, the only logical outcome is that their world should have been wiped out ages ago. She lays out the history. Years back, the secret realm violently merged with their reality, unleashing an apocalypse that nearly erased humanity. That's when the first adventurers had to step up. But even with their sacrifice, humanity was still losing, badly. Yet here they are, still breathing. Not because of luck, but because of what can only be described as a complete miracle. And Yua declares with fiery optimism that as long as they refuse to give up, they just might keep pulling off the impossible. A heavy silence falls over the room. Yua immediately starts to panic, thinking she totally bombed her big speech. But then, a single clap breaks the silence, followed by an eruption of applause. Just like that, the room's morale is restored. With the tension broken, they shift gears to figuring out a strategy for any gods who decide to show up. After all, they've learned a valuable lesson from the best. Trust no one, especially not the divine. Meanwhile, the Holy Spirit is casually scoping out the city, still on the hunt for the so-called omnipotent mage. You know, our boy, in case you weren't tracking. He then feels a familiar pull. His trial's secret realm is close. At the same time, Qiqiang arrives at the Kangaroo Guild, the very guild that had completely shattered overnight. But instead of wallowing in misery, he's resolved to grind even harder, get massively powerful, and raise the guild from its own ashes. But just as he's hyping himself up for the monumental task ahead, a glowing rift tears open and a holy spirit casually steps out. Qiqiang instantly gets ready to fight, but the spirit introduces himself as the divine master of the trial realm, a god. It all clicks for Qiqiang. He's seen this spirit's face in online videos and realizes this guy literally runs the entire trial realm. He assumes the god must have actually heard his prayers, but the deity seems completely unimpressed by any of it. He just needs Qiqiang to prove he's worthy of the power he's offering. Qiqiang is desperate and agrees to any demand. The Holy Spirit, on the other hand, is treading very carefully. He knows the Archmage is a sly fox and not someone you can easily fool. Since his current form as Kalen is way weaker than his true godly self, he figures it's time to get some help. His first assignment for Qiqiang is to locate none other than our main character. Qiqiang has heard of the MC, but they don't know each other, so the spirit orders him to shadow our boy and report back on every single thing he discovers. He then drops a bombshell, warning Qiqiang that our hero is an evil god who has annihilated countless worlds. Qiqiang's mind spins as he remembers that this spirit might be the very one who stopped the evil god from ever setting foot in the trial realm. The Holy Spirit then confesses that he detected a breach in his own divine realm, and when he tried to look into it, something completely shut him out, leading him to believe the Archmage is the puppet master behind it all. He then learns from Qiqiang that Duan, one of our hero's friends, crushed the trial, so he starts playing mind games with Qiqiang, whispering that the honor should have been his. He dangles a chance to reclaim that glory, but only if Qiqiang pledges his undying loyalty. Qiqiang accepts without a moment's hesitation. The spirit's next command is for Qiqiang to tell the MC everything, and just like that, Qiqiang is on his way to meet our hero. When our boy gets the rundown about the incarnation from Qiqiang, Hanyin explains that gods usually use their own followers as vessels, since their hive mind connection helps them last longer. Our MC, however, just assumes gods can possess basically anyone. Qiqiang also reassures him that he isn't worried about the Holy Spirit discovering his double cross, because he's already prodded the god a few times with zero reaction. Even though he suspects the spirit might just be playing dumb, he honestly doesn't care. He finishes by telling our hero to stay sharp. Hanyin clarifies that fresh followers like Qiqiang are still developing their faith, which makes their spiritual connection weak. This makes them unreliable, but it also makes their betrayal nearly impossible to detect. The MC thanks Qiqiang, a gesture that deeply impresses him. He can't help but be in awe of how completely unbothered our guy is by the whole situation. Meanwhile, Qiqiang's brother, who's doing his own digging, can't wrap his head around the idea that our boy could actually be this legendary evil god. Our hero, on the other hand, is fully convinced of his identity and is ready for the gods to pull up. If they want to throw down, he is more than ready to meet them head-on. Our hero is keenly aware that the longer Qiqiang is attached to Kalen, the messier this is all going to get, so they need to take care of Kalen immediately. Hanyin, though, is unbelievably chill about the whole thing. He reassures our boy that they actually hold the upper hand, because when a high-level entity enters a lower-level realm, its power is automatically nerfed by the universe itself. Not even gods can get around this cosmic rule. To amp up their power, they need legions of followers worshipping them. But the MC is just built different. He's a local to this realm, which means he can unleash his full power anytime he wants. So as long as these divine posers don't manage to build a fanbase, they aren't a legitimate threat to him. The real catch is that the Trial's secret realm has some serious divine protection. That attack he felt before didn't just hit him, it punched a hole through time and space, and smashed directly into the Holy Spirit's private divine dimension. As long as that spirit is camped out inside, there's nothing they can do, so the only option is to bait him out. With that, our hero starts cooking up a strategy. When it comes to raw firepower, he's not sweating it. He has a massive arsenal of forbidden spells, which means he can absolutely go blow for blow with the spirit. But there's one nasty ability that's bugging him. The Holy Spirit can launch a psychic assault that paralyzes weaker enemies on the spot. The less powerful you are, the longer you're stuck there like a statue. And since our boy's level on paper is ridiculously low, this could be a huge problem if the Holy Spirit catches him off balance. He might not even get the chance to cast a single spell. To counter this, he needs a resistance spell, but the issue is that mental defense spells are incredibly rare. For the time being, he returns to the training base, where Hanyin checks out Momo, and reveals that Momo isn't just some adorable, mysterious pet. It is a chaos terror beast from the dark world, a creature that can project an unbreakable field of chaos and nullify all forms of destruction. Basically, it's a living, breathing apocalypse, more powerful than most realm-ending bosses and totally capable of erasing entire worlds. And upon hearing this, Duan is absolutely freaking out, but Han Yin's just like, bro, chill. Apparently, Momo is totally vibing now, all thanks to our main character. And then things get even more sus when Han Yin tells Duan he should give Momo a bath because the creature actually digs it. He even claims he did it himself to bond with the thing. Duan just stands there, completely shook. Meanwhile, our hero casually flicks a skill book he snagged from the trial realm over to Duan. In response, Duan basically pledges his undying loyalty on the spot. But our MC? His mind is on bigger things. Ever since that whole insane incident in the Arlita secret realm, the entire world's view on the gods has been flipped upside down. Even Duan doesn't seem to be sweating the arrival of the true essence, Holy Spirit, which is a massive W for our boy. It means the gods can't just frame him for anything they want anymore. With that problem shelved, he dips over to the base's high-security research lab, on the hunt for some kind of mental resistance spell. Cut to the Kangri Guild, where the Holy Spirit is big-braining the situation. He swears this world feels familiar, yet the humans here are just lame, pathetic even. But here's the kicker. After a world-ending catastrophe, these supposed weaklings somehow pulled through. What's really tripping him up is that no god lifted a finger to help them, not even the OP Archmage. So he starts to suspect that these humans are hiding a secret ace. And if his hunch is right, the Archmage has already sniffed it out and is plotting to turn this entire world into his personal sandbox. And he's not about to let that slide. Back in the trial realm, a battered Shi Young stumbles out after somehow clearing 14 floors, looking like he went 10 rounds with reality and lost. Floor 15, though, is his personal hell, since he's already wiped out over 100 times on it. The Holy Spirit basically takes pity on him and juices him up with a skill, just so he can finally cross the finish line. Our MC dives into yet another secret realm, one of those legendary drop spots, where you can find spells to shield your mind from psychic attacks. The local mobs are in a full-blown panic, scrambling to warn their boss that the Archmage is on a rampage. Their leader, who's clearly had enough, puts on a brave face, and immediately slams to his knees, begging our hero for mercy. For a hot second, our MC thinks, is this some kind of psychic trap? But nope, the dude is just legit broken. Turns out, the Archmage has been messing with his head so bad, he's basically given the guy a full-blown phobia. Our hero is just baffled that it's even possible to mentally shatter a boss who specializes in psychic attacks. After closing out that bizarre chapter, he bounces with a mage skill book as his reward. It's not exactly a game changer, but it grants any teammates nearby an aura of resilience, along with a small chance to regen energy whenever they pop a skill. He instantly absorbs it, unlocking a brand new ability that allows him to bestow powerful divine blessings upon his loyal followers.